Okay, crew. So let's sit, find our comfortable seated position. Get nice and cozy and comfortable, relaxing. Remember, as it was taught 2,000 years ago by Patanjali, the first sutra, yoga starts here. Yoga starts now. So in order to learn yoga, to be yoga, to experience yoga, we have to be present. There's no teaching, there's no transmission, there's no exchange unless we are present. So finding our comfortable seat or lying down, the prerequisite is that you're comfortable in your space, in this place. We're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale side out through the mouth. Two more. Deep breath in and exhale side out. One more. Deepest breath in and exhale side out. Beautiful. Deep breath in. We're going to hold the breath, feel the breath for 10, elongating our spine, 9, moving around side to side, relaxing into your body, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and exhale 1. Beautiful. Deep breath in through nose. And then exhale like you're blowing out birthday candles long through the mouth. Inhale nose. And exhale long and strong through the mouth. Deep breath in. Exhale long and strong. For 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 'Long and strong. 3. 2. And 1. Deepest breath in now, yogis. And you're going to hold that breath, feel that breath. 1 minute on the clock. This is our mindful minute. So just try and relax. You know, stillness is anything but still, and silence is anything but silence. So if you need to move around a little bit, just allow your body to move and groove. You're not disturbing anyone. Just tune in to what's happening within yourself and around yourself for 1 minute. There's no forcing, there's no fixing. And if it gets to be too much, just exhale, let it go. Just breathe in and out nice and slowly. We work our way up to a minute. Being mindful, aware to the energy within us and the energy around us. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and exhale, side out for 10. Deep breath in, and exhale, side out. 9. Sound of ha, sound of the sun. 7. Beautiful. 6. 5. 4. More relaxed. 3. 2. And 1. Beautiful. Deep breath in. Hold that breath, feel that breath for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and exhale, side out. Beautiful. We're going to start to Brahmari now, long and strong. I'm going to do it for 3 consecutive minutes. Don't worry about your neighbor, don't worry about me. Just keep Brahmaring through, clearing the energy. Remember, the issues are in our tissues, and we only suffer separation. We only feel what we bring with us. So as we cleanse and clear, we're moving that energy through the tissues which hold our issues. So 3 minutes on the clock. Deep breath in to begin. Don't wait for anyone. Confident and strong. We're halfway there. Last one. and just breathe naturally. First, exhale, sigh it out. And just come into a natural breath. Don't force anything. Don't force the inhale. Don't force the exhale. If the breath is naturally long and strong, let it be. If the breath is short and sweet, just let it be. You're learning how to cultivate a sense of comfort. So if you need to lie down, lie down. This is the prerequisite to being present. As much as we might want to sit, we're not ready to sit. Because again, sitting is about finding that comfortable position, and we do yoga, our yin yoga practice, to find this sitting position. So if you have not yet practiced yoga, it might be a little bit difficult for you to sit. But if you're someone like me who has already done their practice today, and it's very, very comfortable just to hold the seat and to hold the space. Because again, our practice lasts 24 hours. And so our body holds the energy. But that doesn't mean that the state of being present is any different lying down than it is sitting up. If you're awake, you're awake. If you're aware, you're aware. If you're loving, you're loving. And if you're kind, you're kind. If you're balanced, you're balanced. So just being in this space. And as you open up in each your own places, start to feel the grace. And for me, grace has always been about being aware of the energy that blossoms, that gives fragrance from our intention. So remembering our intentions from last week, let's draw that intention into our heart center by placing our hands on our heart center and just coming into a tactile way of remembering why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing today and the journey we're about to take. And as you take a few deep breaths in and deeper breaths out, just allow yourself to cultivate a state of deeper intention. Allowing yourself to be here. For once you're grounded, you can grow. For nothing can grow unless it is grounded. So allow yourself to be grounded in this moment. As we cultivate from this grounded sensation, growth of our intention for our second session here in day 2. And with that, we're going to chant 3 mantra ohms to amplify this energy, to acknowledge it. Remember, attention with our intention is what cultivates the consent for what is grounded to grow. And what we need and what we want, and allow it to become a gift for us to receive. So all together, we're going to chant 3 mantra ohms to draw this intention into attention for today's class and practice. Hands to heart center, deep breath in. breath in. And exhale, sigh it out. Deep breath in. As you sigh it out, relax your arms down. And our final one is for our whole centering practice. Deep breath in. And exhale, sigh it out. Beautiful, yogis. So namaste. Welcome to day 2. Day 2 is going to come in strong and through. Just like we said, we're not here to break down. We're not here to break up. We've all had enough of those in our life. We are here to break through. We're here to break through to each of you. And so again, you can lie down, you can sit up. Again, whatever way you are most receptive. Again, this is cool school. And as the great Rick Rubin says, the best work is done lying down. So, if you want to lie down the entire time, you can. We're going to do a few things before we start our practice today, just to sort of prime you. And priming is the psychological term for getting you ready for what's to come. But before we do, again, I just want to acknowledge everyone in the circle for coming into the energy. So again, I'd like to acknowledge Kelly for coming into the circle. So thank you, Kelly. Our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful anatomy teacher, Kent. Thank you, Master Kent. Beautiful to have you here. Our wonderful media manager, photographer, and videographer, Paula, my wonderful fiance. And many of you don't know, but I'm going to be really proud to announce it right now to all of you, our 12-week child. We're finally at that point. Paula's starting to show, and it's a real blessing. This is the first time I formally shared it to anyone here at ALTEA. There's a few people in the management that know, but you are the first of the students that I've formally opened up to the circle, so feel free to shower her with lots of love during the break. So I would just like to acknowledge, young Atreyu or Atreya, either way, our healthy little fetus, beautiful child. So thank you, everyone. So it's a real honor to be sitting you and, becoming a father through this program too. So it's a really special energy. And so we will talk more about that. So thank you for all your love. So on top of that, we also have Reza. Thank you for coming back into the room. Namaste, good to have you here. And, Razia. I got you right. First time. Good. Reza. Raise the car. Got you right. Sorry, I thought I got it wrong. Whenever I get a new name, it's always like a few times in my Rolodex. So many people. Never forget a face, but a name, that's a tough one for me. But thank you. Reza, honor that. And then also too, and I'll actually have her say a little bit of something because she has quite a special story of why she's here. But sitting in the corner over here is Genevieve. And Genevieve is actually a Yin Yoga alumni. So she took the Yin Yoga program, I would almost say almost a year ago, maybe longer. Yeah, maybe longer, maybe a year and a half. She was part of my second cohort in Toronto at another studio that is no longer with us, unfortunately, due to COVID. But I always say to my alumni, as I said to you, it's one of the things I never got in my program where you can come back. Usually they charge you again. Oh, you want to take the program in? Second charge. But I feel like, it's just wonderful to have these people here. They've already taken the program. And so it's one of those things that, after a year, you might just want to come and sit in the energy. After a year, you might want to just take the practice. After a year, I got her a teaching position. So she's like, I'd really like to just kind of re-up on just the knowledge and information. So just so you all know, there's an open door policy until that policy is not allowed to be had. Meaning, I don't know how much space we have when the alumni start growing to a level. But hopefully by that time we'll have alumni, obviously invitations and stuff and programming, just like we do at UFT. But until then, it's an honor to have Genevieve here. So let's all thank Genevieve for being here. And Genevieve, maybe if you'd like to just say something about, the program itself. You went through it all, and now, you've done further. You've gone and done your 200 hours. So maybe just a little bit about the program and your yoga journey and why you're here today.
Yeah, so like Alex mentioned, I was a part of this program maybe a year and a half ago, a couple years ago. It was good. It opened a lot of doors for me. And it also just kind of furthered my own understanding and yoga journey. So yeah, it's just really started to do that. I'm with Alex because I've been doing a lot of other yoga things, but Yin is kind of always in the back. I'm very grateful that I get to be here today with you guys. Very good to be here. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Namaste, it's great to have you. All right, now I'll give it to Master Kent. He's going to take you through, and then we'll get started on our practice.
Okay, hello everyone. Okay, so super bright, you can all obviously see me. What I would like to invite everyone to do is, if you like, you can always, listen to Alex and feel free to lie down, sit down, be comfortable. But we're gonna go through a brief introduction into just the idea of anatomy and sort of experiencing anatomy. Best thing about anatomy is your body is your textbook. And one of the funniest things about going to an actual anatomy course is when you do the exam, if you sit back and watch and you are decent enough at your practice, you can actually see where everyone is in the classroom on the exam, because they're all like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, oh, that does this does that. We're all in ourselves. So when we put words to these things, it can often kind of remove an aspect of intuition and a quality of knowing, but we then, once we have that language, we can start sharing and expanding upon them with other people. And really, I want to give you cues, not just for teaching, but for yourself in your own practice. And so we're just going to go through brief movements and descriptions of how these things work. We're just going to pass through the body and just give everything a little bit of attention to detail. And what I would like to do is we'll break it down so there's just little snippets and teasers into probably the 3 or 4 sort of programs and workshops that I'll be sort of providing throughout the course, that will be focusing more so on the main elements of sort of body mechanic restrictions and manual sort of dysfunctions that a lot of us encounter that often get in the way of practice. And that's something that's really helpful when we're trying to break through, as Alex keeps reminding us, is that there's always avenues for sort of interfering with a habituated or sort of habit-driven quality that holds us back. And if you can ask the right questions and apply the right sequence, you can go that much further. And with this, we're gonna start teasing out how we can apply that. We're all different, we're all unique. You're all allowed to be messed up in your own unique ways. So please enjoy that. If you want to share with me, either one-on-one or to the group, I love group. If anyone is comfortable doing that, we get to actually break down concepts in real time, and everyone gets to learn through your experience. And with that, we can go forward. If there's questions, just shoot them out. Just feel free to interrupt me. And if we can get through that in a way that doesn't mess up too much with time, we'll just keep allowing it so that we can have a fluid exchange. So you're not just sitting there holding on to an idea and then it passes you by. I'd much rather you sort of get involved and start applying things in real time as they're coming at you. So my invitation is for everyone to stand up. And we're gonna go through a really, in theme with everything that Alex loves to do. This is a grounding exercise. Most of what we're gonna do right now is just gonna be standing. And again, feel free to lie down if you want to. But this exercise is all about trying to figure out where we are in time and space. And in anatomy and neurology more so, this is called proprioception. And it's a really important concept because you basically need to know what you're doing at any given time in any given place. And so when we're in our body and we're being present, we have all of these nerve receptors and qualities of exchange of information giving us a breakdown as to how high I'm holding my arm, where I'm looking with my chin, where my back is relative to my pelvis. All of these things make a huge difference for things that we take for granted. You know, like I can't stand on one leg unless I know exactly where that leg is in relationship to all the muscles on the other side that are going to counteract it. So this is the most basic rudimentary form of bringing your proprioceptive awareness back to a midline. And it's very simple. It can be a little silly, and hopefully you can all explore and just kind of like giggle through it. But you're gonna have, if you can, hip width apart, and we're gonna see if we can raise our toes. As soon as you raise your toes, you might notice that you've got sort of these knuckles, or the balls of your feet. And I wanna put emphasis on your big toe bed, okay? The ball that everyone kind of like pivots around on. And then our little toe bed, and we're gonna create a tripod, our heels. And with this shape, you can lower your toes down, and if you can, try and keep yourself as parallel as possible. See if you can, there you go, thank you. Yep, cool, cool, cool. And with this, you got those 3 points. You're trying to be as tall as possible without swaying at the hips, without bending the knees. Try to think about this long bamboo rod going all the way from your heels, all the way through your spine, up the top of your head. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna lean forward into the big toe bed of 1 foot. And then you're gonna lean all of your weight to that rod into the little toe bed of that foot. Right along the outside to your heel. And now you're gonna pass in between the 2 feet to the big toe bed of the opposite, the little toe bed of the opposite, right along the outside of that one to the heel. And if you notice, we're just creating a figure 8. And so this is just a motion that you can now enter into your body and see what you can do to just explore where all the weaknesses are. Sometimes you'll be like, one ankle just does not like to hang out on that outside, or shifting weight through the big toe bed of a foot just feels really awkward or pings up into the knee. This is all really good information, and we can try to understand it. And a lot of people, as soon as they notice something, they start swaying through their hips to do it. So we're not in a salsa class. Try to see if you can keep yourself as tall and long as possible. And what this does is forces all the little muscles, everything that contributes to your balance, your stability, your quality of control, they all wake up. They all start telling you where you are, what you're doing, and how they can now contribute to the overall silly motion that you've now applied. And so this is a really helpful way to just like bring balance, bring tone, and at any point while I'm talking, you want to go back to it. It's a great thing to just sort of like bring in. It's a nice thing to do just throughout your day to actually like bring yourself back to center. If you know this in a practice that you're struggling with one-legged balance, for instance, this is a nice thing to do beforehand to get things primed. If you're gonna do, even if say you do like heavy weights and squats, this is a great way to make sure that you're putting equal opportunity in both left and right. So really great way of centering where we operate from. So with this is just like a fun little cue. Hopefully I can like catch you doing it from time to time. It's a great thing to do. As long as you're not trying to pass a sobriety test, this thing should be something that people are allowed to do in public. So I want you to now think about, we're gonna go through simple spinal motions, because that's where we're gonna begin almost everything. Our sensory experience comes through our spinal cord up into our cranium. So the conduit for all of this and support is our spine and the bones that make that up, our vertebrae. Okay, so the most basic things that we sort of talk about in anatomy is just directional. The first one is usually we want to understand which direction something is traveling. So we're just going to throw 2 planes at you. There are multiple, but the 2 that are the most important are the ones that we sort of separate the body into. So everyone knows what flexion is, roughly, the idea of flexion. So if I'm to like flex forward at the hip, right? What this is me traveling in a plane, and that would be the longitudinal plane or sagittal plane. Basically cuts the body in half if you were looking at me straight dead on, right? And I would be traveling in that plane when I go through flexion of my hips, right? That's all relative, everything changes. Like my arm is gonna be problematic when you start thinking about this, because I can flex here, I can flex here, I can flex here. You can throw all that out the window, it's not important. But the idea of language is just like you're always remembering that we're trying to think about things in opposition. So if there's a flexion, there's also an extension. And so the first one is that longitudinal plane. The next one we have stuff like side flexion of the spine, and we have things like abduction and adduction. And these are traveling, if you notice, in the exact opposite perpendicular plane to our first one. Okay, this is our coronal plane. And so this is, or frontal, which is the easy way of thinking about it. You're looking at somebody's face, it's the frontal plane in which they're traveling. So with this, we have like a pretty rudimentary understanding of what it means to talk about which direction the body is traveling. So when we get to the spine, we had a brief little sort of hint at this with Alex. We've got our main actions, right? We got ourselves in flexion, and if we were to go through this, and you can join along with me, so if we like tuck the chin, that's our cervical, so that's our neck as we know it. Our thoracic, so this is our rib cage and our torso going through flexion, and then we have our lumbar, our lower back going through flexion. They can all go through flexion, and then we can roll ourselves all the way back up to something resembling neutral. Also a great way of offloading your spine, getting rid of all of the little loaded sections through our rib cage. And now let's travel in the opposite direction, which would be extension. And so this is us looking back and up, and this one can be quite uncomfortable, so don't go too far, don't be a hero, but that is the idea of extension through the spine. And then we can bring ourselves back up with control. And now we'll go through sort of lateral flexion, which is pretty basic. You can just think about taking one arm up and over and shifting through. We're, again, traveling on that frontal plane in one direction. If you want to think about it, if you're using good cueing in like an asana class, you're trying to like stay between two planes of glass while you're doing your triangle poses and your warrior poses. Very helpful way of thinking about aligning where your body sits. With that, we go on to, there's another plane we can talk about. This one gets super complicated. It's called transverse, but this is where we rotate, right? And if you think about where your spine rotates from, it all is a series of structures of your vertebrae on top of vertebrae on top of vertebrae, and they all rotate in their own way, trying to contribute towards a larger shape of rotation in either direction. Often what will happen is we rotate where we can. And at the very bottom of our thoracic spine, this is where everyone rotates. If you ever look at people, it's really fascinating. They'll often just rotate in this space and no space anywhere above it. And when they think that they're rotating, they're usually just swinging a hip, or they're just doing even more to rotate through here. So if someone asks you to rotate, even if we're just on our backs and we're going through just a standard cross-body rotation, the most important thing you can do is remember that if you open and expose your armpit, you immediately expose even more opportunity for rotation. So let's all play with this. We're all gonna try and rotate by being in a little ball. This is the worst place you could ever rotate from, okay? And we're just gonna try and rotate off to one side. That just kind of dies. I can't even breathe or project my voice, and then we'll come back to center. What happens if we go into the opposite of that? Big, open, expressive arms. This is called external rotation. We'll get to that next. And now your body can now rotate higher and higher up that chain, allowing for more vertebrae to contribute to the shape. So again, this is just a tease when we get into a workshop about how the upper body works in function. We're especially going to break down rotation because this is the apex of a lot of people's, whether it's just held pressure from stress, anxiety, we carry a lot through the areas of our shoulders, our chest, and we're gonna try and see what we can do to alleviate some of those restrictions in order to dive a little bit deeper. You might understand it as, heart openings, chest openings. These things can all have a lot more to provide you if you understand the relationship between the structures involved in these areas. So let's get on to that. So we'll go to the shoulder, okay? The idea of a shoulder, guys understand a shoulder blade, right? Pretty basic, otherwise known as a scapula, okay, in a more technical term. So this thing has a fun word for its movement, which is just called scaption. And like if you think about it, and you're just like kind of like rolling your shoulders, moving it around, this thing can basically glide on the framework of your rib cage. Your ribs, pretty inert, they kind of go out and in as far as your breathing is concerned, but they kind of build a wall. And now our shoulder blade gets to kind of ride that wall. So we're just going to talk about a couple of terms that sort of illustrate what this thing can do. So we got like elevation, which is pretty obvious. This is all up in our neck, and we would love to get away from this sort of thing. And then there's the opposite, which is depression, driving straight down. And then we have the cat and cow special, which is protraction. So it's easiest if you place your arms straight out in front of you. So protraction is you're going to be sending your hands as far away from you as possible. And you can feel how you kind of like dome your ribs and your shoulder blades move away from the spine, right? In cat, this is providing all of that room for that expression of our flexion. And then there's the opposite, which is our cow. As we draw everything back, this is called retraction. As you pull and squeeze your shoulder blades together, this is what that, very like intense Russian piano teacher was trying to like beat into people as they were trying to be as posturally accurate as possible. This is what people are always trying to tell us to do, is like, oh, if you're just back here, you're gonna be more confident and everyone's gonna like you. I'll tell you right now, this is compression, this is compression. There's a beautiful spot somewhere in between filled with potential. So let's see if we can figure out how to get ourselves and each other back to something that's a lot more open and available, as opposed to just being rudimentarily drawn into, it's very militaristic, right? If you think about it, like everyone's just kind of like so tight that they can't really function. So what we'll do next is go into the actual rotation of a ball and socket joint, okay? We're not gonna get too complicated with this. We're just gonna go through the basics. We brought them up before. So these are our things that are traveling along our coronal plane, our frontal plane. So there's abduction. So this is gonna be going straight out to the side and up, just in that line, right? And then adduction, which is the opposite. So you can try and create little ways to sort of tease and cheat yourself into learning those things. I always just figured you add two things together, that's adduction, abduction's the other one. You can think about it in other ways. Some people like abduction. If you think about abduction through the hips and the arms, it's just a big X, and that's what your abs are, which is just a big X. But everyone has their own ways of sort of modeling and interpreting that. There is no test. You'll be fine. So next, we're gonna go through the basics of flexion through the shoulder. Super simple, right? This is straightforward, just traveling in our sagittal plane, right? And this is us just flexing through our shoulder joint. And then there's extension through our shoulder joint, going the opposite way. The beauty of a ball and socket is it has freedom to pass through all sorts of different ranges and angles. So this could be abduction with a whole bunch of flexion versus the opposite, where I'm going through adduction and a whole bunch of extension. Now we're gonna go into our rotations, and these are possibly the most important ones to understand for yoga. No joke, if you can figure out what external rotation is, you have basically learnt more than the vast majority of people in Toronto as far as yoga is concerned, because this is what we all need to do better as basically a community, is understand the difference between internal rotation. As we talked about before, this is not a great way to live and move, but it's sadly where most of us find ourselves, kind of knuckle dragging like a bunch of gorillas. If we externally rotate, everything gets a little bit lighter, more open, very exposed. If you think about it, that's probably why we're not doing it. We're not comfortable. We're not allowing ourselves to be in this space of vulnerability. But external rotation through the shoulder, incredible way of understanding the potential for all the room needed for the shoulder. So we're gonna go down to the next structure, which is basically the simultaneous thing. We'll just go really quickly through this, is the ball and socket through the hip. So it's the same ideas, right? So we've got flexion, we've done that before, right? Shifting forward. We've got extension, which would basically bring us back up. And then if you want, you would be sending your pelvis forward, or you could send one leg back. All walking is just flexion and extension, back and forth, shifting through our ball and socket. And a much more complicated structure, which I will save for a workshop, which is called your sacrum, the base of your spine, the root of most people's imbalances and instabilities. So that we'll get into the nitty-gritty on much later. We have the same ideas of our abduction and adduction, right? hard to do when we can only stand on one leg, but you get the idea as it shifts away from the body and into the body. There's large muscle groups that contribute to these things happening, and we're going to talk in more detail about which ones contribute. We all have probably heard about our quads, our hamstrings, our glutes. These are the big players. We're in a gym, so you've probably seen them written on all sorts of machinery. You've used them your entire lives, and we will start sort of debunking what their functions are and what they contribute to, and how much more all the other muscles actually facilitate control, stability, and how much everything is useful for understanding why we want to break down and understand what muscles do to affect our joints in order to deepen a practice or to allow for more strength and potential to be illuminated from the space that we can create, especially in yin, which is a bunch of long holds. We're basically exposing ourselves to space that we then can hopefully use in the rest of our life, unless you're just gonna sit and meditate, which may have been someone's intention at some point. We don't have that privilege. Well, maybe we do. So we're gonna go through our rotations, external rotation. And this is where a lot of people love to live. You can be in the extreme and kind of be in a first position ballerina and like tweak yourself out entirely, but this is a really safe, efficient way to save energy, and that's why a lot of people kind of sit here. When we get into the pigeon workshop, we're gonna be talking a lot about this. This is exactly what pigeon works on, the muscles that externally rotate you. And so what we're trying to do is explore ideas of the opposite, internal rotation. So that's just shifting things into that internal rotation, just like the shoulder joints drawing inwards. This isn't gonna get you very far in life. This is why no one hangs out here. Really hard to function from this position, but guess what? If you wanna have strength in any direction, you need the opposite to contribute to provide the space for optimal performance. And so whether that's just getting up in the morning or running a marathon, like you have to figure out where all of these joints and movements align so that you can get to the next level of whatever it is you're up to. We can go through the most basic stuff of, we'll just do this simultaneously and just get really big in shapes. So if I was gonna treat my elbows and my knees simultaneously, flexion, that makes sense, right? Knees, flexion. I'd get into the smallest little ball ever if I wanted to just go into this flexion, right? Easy, everything is flexing. And then the opposite would be extending the elbows, extending the knees, generating all of that length and room. Now we're just gonna talk about two more things, and then we'll move on to a little fun game if we have time with Alex. So the idea of the front of the body and the back of the body. So these are two terms. They're probably the most important terms to take from anatomy because they come up in almost every single medical sort of examination text, and it allows you to understand what part of your body you are going to be using or what a muscle contributes to. So the front of your body is referred to as anterior. The back of the body is posterior. So our anterior obviously is everything that you can see in front of me that I'm facing you, and that's mostly going to be our flexors, right? Everything that draws us inwards. It's the chains that create that flexed compression, lots of power, lots of control there. But also, if left unchecked, a lot of curled, drawn-in dysfunction for our spines, for our ribs, for our neck, for our nervous system. Then there's the posterior body. This is the workhorse. This is everything that you've ever gotten done in the physical world has come from the backdrop of your posterior body, the back of your body. We're talking about everything through your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, your paraspinals. It's the whole sort of like constellation of muscles throughout your back. They're keeping this whole thing erect and upright to do its job so that you can go and do the many varied activities that you have. Your posterior body is the thing that is underappreciated and overworked. So we'll have a workshop talking about what those different sort of like polarities have to offer each other and understanding how eliciting a little bit of control, a little bit of understanding in one can grant a lot more access to anything or any discipline, position, or function in the other. And with that, we have kind of like the general breakdown. there's only one other term that you can kind of think about. It's not too, it'll come in reference in the way that people think about cueing in yoga, and that would just be what medial and lateral represents. So I had you at the beginning come into that position. We were all working on sort of shifting our body weight, trying to rotate around the axis of either foot. And what ended up happening is, if you noticed, you may have found a little bit of balance in your spine. You may have found that you were kind of rotating around one central point, and that would be the midline. When we talk about the relationship of one structure in the body to another, what we often talk about is its relationship to the spine, being the center. So when things are moving towards the spine or in the direction of the spine, it is referred to as medial. When it is moving away, it is referred to as lateral, right? So if I'm looking at my leg, for instance, my medial leg is the inside, the driving force of that adduction, and the outside, the adduction, is coming from the lateral side. And so when we use concepts of cueing, sometimes you'll be held into a position and someone wants to get a reference of what it is that you're doing. So say I'm bowing my leg out in a warrior position. If I think about, oh, I have to be drawing things to the medial line with my front supporting leg, I remember that everything has to come to a relative midline. Gotta remember the camera, sorry. This is a really useful way for just understanding in your own mind, one, what an instructor is telling you, two, what you might be teaching someone, because it's a really easy cue. Because you can always say midline, and most people understand what that means. But it's a great way of just building a map as to how we approach just conversing and engaging with the subject of the body through language. So hopefully that wasn't a lot, that was a blitz. There's so much more depth and we can get into it. Again, you can ask me one-on-one, or if you want to ask me when we're in workshops, if there's something that's coming up, please feel free to do so. And we'll get into more detail as we get into some of those segmented things. If there's something that you want to know and work on, please talk to me. We do have segmented time that hasn't really been allocated to anything. I've got 4 or 5 things that I want to get to throughout the course, but we can always approach things with a little bit more attention to detail. If you notice, we didn't talk about the hands and feet. That is a minefield. There's tons of fun in there. There's lots that can be applied. But yeah, we'll save that for another day. Cool. Thanks for listening.
It's great to have everyone here today. Namaste. So like I said, this is day 2 coming through, and today is all going to be about the hips. So we are going to work our hips. So we're actually going to start today's practice a little bit in a slightly different way. Last week we opened up the heart, that was more for the chest. Today we're going to start at the hips, and we're going to learn a whole bunch of techniques for our yin yoga program that involves our hips. So the hips are really the foundation of it all. Kent spoke about certain movements, and we're going to get external movement, we're going to get internal movement. The hip joint is a 360 joint. It works like a joystick, and so we're going to move the hip. And emotionally, the hips are the junk drawers of the body. So we feel a lot of emotional energy when we start to work through the hips. So particularly when we get to the pigeon pose and the different aspects, you'll really start to feel it. So again, long, deep breathing to help get your way through. We're gonna have a beautiful journey. So let's begin. So you're gonna take that bolster, you're gonna place it underneath your knees, and then from underneath your knees, you're gonna lie down, you're gonna slide it underneath your tailbone. So again, that's the hips. So someone asked me the other day, what is the hips? And I said, the hips basically is everything. When you wear a pair of underwear, boxer shorts, that's your hips. So anyways, the bones that all are in this area, all the complexity of this area constitutes, and what we're gonna be looking at is your hips today. So again, there's lots of nuances and there's lots of subtleties, but for us, the hips is basically, if you put on a pair of shorts, that's your hips. So for today's class, that's what I want to be focusing on is the hips, and we're going to work the hips in all sorts of different ways. So lying down on our backs, putting that bolster underneath us. Remember, our bolster is our support. And again, the more support we have, the better, because again, this is yin practice. So with yin, we want to get nice and grounded. We explored that concept last week. And now we're going to start to grow. So week 1, we got grounded. Week 2, we're starting to grow. And what we're growing into is our hips, base of the spine. So let's begin with that bolster nicely supporting us. If our lower back is really sore, we want to keep the soles of the feet onto the ground to help just give it that little bit of a pelvic tilt. Again, like Kent spoke about, anterior to the front. So as you tilt that tailbone a little bit up, and then you can tilt it down a little bit just to feel the movement in the hip a little bit. Perfect. If you feel comfortable though, you can extend the legs out and you can extend the arms out fully. And that allows us to open up completely. I'm gonna grab the timer as we relax down, down, down towards the ground. We're gonna be here for 5 minutes, just relaxing, laying out the spine and beginning our breathing. Again, yoga is the breath. The breath connects the body and the mind together. And remember, the breath is the most densest form of the spirit. So again, when we talk about the mind and the body is to the mind what the breath is to the spirit. So the body is the most densest form of the mind. The body is the densest form of the mind. The breath is the densest form of the spirit. So as we breathe and be here, we're relaxing down, down, down. Get yourself nice and comfortable. And as we start to feel that pelvic tilt in the hips, that relieves a lot of pressure in the lower back. So again, open up your arms like wings, your fingers like feathers, and we're gonna start to deep breathe once again. In through nose, and exhaling long and strong through mouth. Deep breath in through nose, and exhaling long and strong through mouth. Remember, the deeper you breathe, the more energy you receive, and that's the key. That's what we're looking for. So following that breath, breath by breath, breathing all the way in and all the way out. Letting everything go and letting everything flow. All the way in through nose and all the way out long and strong through mouth. Focusing on the feeling, focusing on the healing. And as we breathe here, down, down, down towards the ground, we're gonna be here for 5 minutes. We're already rounding the second minute, so allowing everything to go down, down, down towards the ground. Letting everything relax, opening up the chest, opening up the abdomen, and then exhaling abdomen, chest. Remember, as you breathe in through the nose, air goes into your lungs, breath goes into your body. And as you exhale long and strong and through, you're releasing all that breath from the body and all that air out of your lungs. And this is how we slowly, slowly start to affect all 38 trillion cells in our body. Remembering always, we can change our diets, and there's a beautiful, beautiful, slow and gentle journey with that the body can really receive. But remembering, we can stay alive for 30 days without food, approximately. So again, changing our diet is a slow and gradual change for our healing. And then we can change the way that we think about our water and the liquids that we drink and what we put into our body through liquid form. But remembering too that we can go 7 days without water. But we can't go 5 minutes without breathing. Breathing is absolutely essential to our life. And so as we be and breathe, we really start to create this stronger effect on the body, the stronger effect on the mind. So if you're suffering with injury, if you're suffering with disease, discomfort, you know, food is a really good way, but food is a long and steady journey. And it's an important part of your journey. But depending on what you eat today, it's not going to greatly affect your life in the immediate, in the momentary aspect. And same with water and what we drink. But what will is how you breathe. How you breathe right now, the breath you're taking right now, strong and steady, is absolutely 100% affecting what every cell is metabolizing in this moment. So if you're looking for radical change, If you're seeking to liberate yourself from dis-ease and discomfort, then I always advocate breathing, long, deep breathing, first to find that connection to the body and to the mind, and activating the spirit. Because the spirit is what makes the body and the mind whole. The breath is that relationship where the two are no longer separate. So 30 more seconds, yogis, as you breathe and be. And if you feel any discomfort in your hips, just squeeze your glutes, release your glutes. That'll help relax your lower back as everything goes down, down, down towards the ground. And as we round that 5-minute marker now, we're going to take a nice deep breath in and one strong Brahmari to clear. Deep breath in. Inhale. And exhale, side out. All right, yogis, beautiful. Slowly, gently bringing your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze. And let's take 3 minutes to integrate that long stretch through our reclined bridge, if our feet were on the ground, knees bent, or our reclined wheel, if our legs were stretched and our arms were outstretched. So again, just moving and grooving now, moving the body any which way you like, stretching here from your lying down position, any which way you want. You have 3 minutes to listen to your intuition. Right? Your intuition is your instincts. The importance of, inspiring yourself through inhalation. It's the origin of the word. Inhalation, inspiration. And exhaling through that long, strong exhale, that's exaltation, which I always say is a celebration. So with each inhale and each exhale, you're being inspired and you're celebrating that inspiration, which is ultimately confronting or entering the moment. So 1.5 minutes to go, yogis. Great work as you stretch and feel. Again, we're just getting started. We got a 2-hour practice ahead of us. So again, we're going real deep as we do. That's the yin-ful way of life. And slow and steady wins this race. We're working through that tortoise energy, that strong tortoise energy, right? Which is key to our development, to our strength, to our journey through this practice, right? So let it go, let it flow, yogis. You're in a good way. You're in a safe way. As you relax, release. Final minute, just stretching and breathing, using that bolster. And so after today, we're going to do a group buy for bolsters. So you'll have access to a community purchase here in the Yin program. So if you'd like to take a bolster home with you, you'll be able to, so you can continue your practice if you rewatch these videos, because it is an important thing. Of course, you can always substitute a bolster with a rolled up towel or another kind of cushion, but it's just not the same. The bolster offers a really nice, strong support for the base of the spine. So that's something you're interested in. We'll discuss that as we move forward into the program. All right, yogis, that's been 3 minutes. So now we're going to go to the next level with the hips. So we're going to remove that bolster right now so we get flat on the floor. As we get flat on the floor, feet touch, knees wide, we're going to start to play with some of those anatomical terms, as well with understanding what is actually happening at the base of the spine. And its most subtle or sort of easy or accessible ways of accessing it. So what we're going to do now is tilt the tailbone up and tilt the tailbone down. So this is a tilt of the tailbone. So you're rolling the tailbone up and down. We're not quite going up into bridge pose yet. Well, this is level 1. So level 1 is just a tilt up and a tilt down. So anterior to the front towards you, and you'll feel your lower back lift just to about the rib cage, and then back down as you tilt it away, creating almost a tunnel in your lower back. So again, pressing through the feet, stretching upward, and then releasing downward. As we relax, release up and down. Feel that tilt of the spine, as you start to move and groove, feel and heal your body. Breathing all the way in and long and strong out. Beautiful. We're going to be here for 3 minutes. So as we breathe and be long and strong, let everything relax, everything go. And again, just moving through this tilt. So this is going to be a very awakening activity. I remember the first time I experienced it for the first time. It was a new activity for me, and it was a very powerful one at that. So again, working through the anterior tilt toward you and posterior tilt away from you. Again, it's very, very powerful for the lower back, especially if your lower back is weak or if your lower back feels fused, right? If it feels stuck or congested. So this is a really good way. I always say it's like blowing your nose, and you can just blow your nose, or you can kind of pinch your nose a few times and kind of helps create kind of a start-stop pressure. And so that's what this is. This is that start-stop pressure. You're really enhancing the ability to get into the articulation at the base of the spine. You'll start to feel cricks and cracks. You'll start to feel where it's not so smooth. So we want to just have one smooth continuous motion down and up. And as you do this, you'll really start to feel it. And again, just light tilts up and down, not going too high. Again, trying to flatten. If you can try and flatten the lumbar spine, the lower back, that's what we're really looking for. You're really just trying to want to isolate the movement. And again, for many of you, this will be hard because this is new. This is something you have to train, and it takes a while to train it. But this is what we're looking for. We're looking for that articulation because yoga is an art, right? It's both science and art. And where Kent will talk about the science of yoga through the anatomy, I will talk about the art of yoga, which is the aesthetic, which is the beauty, right? Which is the truth. And so moving through these value theories, right? We give value to this movement. We do this movement. We invest in this movement in a yinful way. So this is where that little dollop of yang, that yang, where we're doing something, right? Where yin, we more surrender, be still, but we're grounded. But by doing something over and over in a yin way is very, very powerful for the body. So you're going to see a lot of that in this course and in my classes, which is very, very different from other schools of thought and other schools of yoga. I don't just isolate the yin. There's no such thing as yin without yang. So having a little bit of movement, a little bit of micro movement throughout the practice is really, really good. But of course, the deeper versions is when you would just relax it all. But we're going to build up into it. All right, so there's our first part. That was 3 minutes on the clock. That's great. So now we're going to go a little bit further, a little bit deeper. So now we're going to lift up all the way into our bridge pose. I'm going to reset the clock. And what we're going to do now is we're going to push all the way up now. So arms go up over our head. Stretch all the way up, push up, feel up. And then as you come up, feel up, you're going to exhale, roll down. And as you exhale, roll down, you're going to slowly, slowly tilt. Tuck your chin, right? And allow yourself to come forward. Again, chin into chest, knees into chest. We call this dumpling, right? Or a little tiny ball. So again, we're going to slowly, slowly start to come up. Just feel that movement all the way up. Plant the feet. Again, work with that anterior tilt. Flatten the lumbar spine, the lower back. Bring it all the way up, 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 up. And once you get to your maximum, again, bringing it down to the ground and then rolling it through, tucking your chin and rolling it through nice and slow. Again, there's no right or wrong. Again, you want to be as creative as possible, and you want this movement to feel different over time as it gets more and more different for you, as you get more and more advanced into articulation, what we call undulation in yoga, which is basically the Kundalini movement of the spine. Again, there's a reason why our spine is not a straight bone, although we say, stand up straight. Straight is a relative term, as Kent was talking about, that axial alignment. As I talk about it, you'll hear me call it elongation, which is basically putting all 6 movements, forward, back, side to side, and rotating, which you just experienced, into the 7th movement, which is basically doing it all kind of at once, really elongating it. So we have to do all of these 6 movements of the spine to get to that 7th movement, which is elongation. Good, we're rounding that 2-minute marker, yogis. 1 more minute to go as we stretch and feel. Again, working it through this articulation of the spine. We activate the energy in the hips. Again, really emphasizing the hips today and starting to feel the energy as we move it through. So again, if you don't like a particular movement in this class, remember, this is not like ice cream preferences. You know, it's not like you just don't like the flavor and you don't have to eat it. If there's something in this class, a posture particularly that you don't like, generally the rule of thumb in the yoga world is that's the one you need the most. Okay? So this is why kids don't like their vegetables. You know, it's because they need their vegetables the most. So think of it like that. All right? So if there's anything you feel, you have to talk to us, you know, after the practice so we can help you. Again, Kent will help you on that science level. I will help you on the artistic level. And again, the spiritual level. So again, breathing and being through. You're doing great, yogis. We've made it to that 3-minute marker. Excellent. So now we're just going to bring our knees into our chest, give ourselves a nice squeeze, and we're going to work one of my favorite postures for the next 5 minutes, which is knees into chest. So tucking your chin, knees wide, right hand on right knee, left hand on left knee, and you're going to open up those knees nice and wide. Again, some like to bring them a little bit closer together. That's a preference. I like to open them wide. And if you remember, what does it mean when we open up the hips wide? We're abducting, right? We're abducting. So we're moving away from the center line with our hips, opening up our legs. You can always call this external. That's a really nice, easy word. Or outward, right? So there's lots of language we can use. And again, if you are aspiring to be a teacher, you know, I always say the simpler the better, because I was trained in Zen. And when it came down to Zen, you don't know Zen if you can't teach Zen to a fisherman. Again, it's not that fishermen are stupid people. It's that fishermen are simple people, very, very simple people. And again, to be able to speak the Zen can get very complicated. And so the idea is it should be as simple as fishing, which is very, you know, a simple and well understood activity in Japan. So it's a very beautiful analogy. And so if we can get our language to that level, of course we can speak to PhDs, professors, all we want. You know, if that's our thing, that's our thing. But always remembering that we always take things with beginner mind. That's why many of you might be unconsciously or subconsciously attracted to these particular classes, because there's something for everyone. All right, yogis, you're doing great. We're staying with it long and strong through the hips. Right hand on right knee, left hand on left knee, and just opening away from that center line as we breathe and be. Now, for somebody in the room, you might start to feel a little bit of pain in your neck at this point. I always say, if your cervical spine, right, the neck, right, is not yet ready to articulate, you can't tuck the chin yet, it's going to start to get fatigued. That's where the bolster comes in once again. So you can take that bolster and place it underneath your head at any point in our practices. If there's a reason why you shouldn't have it there, always cue it. But if your neck's feeling a little bit sore because you're not able to flatten through the neck, I would highly recommend you don't, you know, overcompensate one for the other. Our ability to open up the hips right now has really nothing to do with our necks. So again, we don't want to put injury on our necks while we open up our hips. So again, just staying nice and long and comfortable. And it feels really good too. All right, yogis, you're doing great. 2 more minutes here. Deep breath in and deeper breath out. As you're just drawing those knees away and toward. Nice and easy. Knees into chest. Wind relieving posture. And this is a great posture. It's a funny one where it gets its name from. Wind relieving. And again, names are a funny thing in yoga. We'll have all sorts of names. I like to call this one knees into chest because I don't like to think about farting. So flatulation, I always get the 2 kids confused. But that's why it's called wind relieving posture. So when I was in India, there was a whole lot of sounds going on in the room because as Guruji encouraged us, we are never to hold our farts in. So that being said, we were on a strict sattvic diet, so there was not a lot of smell that came out of our farts. But every time there would be a Westerner in the room that wasn't yet acquainted to the sattvic, the light Indian diet, the vegetarianism, without any garlic, without any onion, very clean foods. It was not the most pleasant experience. That being said, it's not supposed to be, right? We're supposed to move through all that aversion, with steadfastness of mind. But it did make for the deep breathing to be a little difficult in those stages. So I tell this joke this way. I don't call it this way, but it is for that. So if you ever have digestive issues, this is one of the things, or if you ever have food poisoning, as I've had, this is one of the best things you can do for yourself during those times. And it will just accelerate digestion. And it will also accelerate what we call apana, the downward flow of energy, which we're going to learn about as we get into our pranayama teachers later on. But just feeling this energy, it does aid in digestion. So if you've ever had a big meal, this is always a good thing to do. All right, yogis, one Brahmari declare. Deep breath in. We're not done yet, so take a deep breath in and exhale the left leg down to the ground. Keep that right leg in. We're going to keep going. Again, this is yin class, so there's parts of the practice you are going to be challenged by. This is one of them. So again, we're not holding much longer. I just want to show you, what it is. You can do wind relieving pose, right? Or knees into chest, but this is also what you could call half knees into chest, or one knee into chest, or half wind relieving pose. Or as we like to say up in the cottage, jackknife, big splash, the rival of the cannonball, which you can also call that move, right? So just bringing that right knee in, but this is nice to do because again, it just extends the left leg out. And so you can point your toes, curl your toes. Again, just feel the energy, right? Make sure the bent leg is just neutral, but the left leg that's on the floor, you can curl and point and get some real nice extension through that. Again, we're not going to hold super much longer. We're just extending into the posture. I always say it's like an expansion pack. You can start to explore, subtleties of the posture rather than just release it completely. So 30 more seconds, then we'll switch sides. Good, so just bringing that right knee in. And then again, where are you drawing it into? Just slowly bending at the elbows, and again, allowing it to move towards the shoulder. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful, yogis. We switch it up. Again, you'll feel it, so go slow. Nice and easy. Upa. Yeah. So again, I always say with yin yoga, right, never underestimate the power of slow, steady, and constant. Right? When it comes to getting rich quick, we all have learned this lesson. It never works. Right? It never works. Very rarely does it ever work. Very rarely does it ever work. So if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Right? That being said, when it comes to yin yoga, this slow, constant movement in the right direction, although at first might not feel like a lot, it's only until you release it that you get the really dramatic sensation of how amazing this practice is. And I always say, whenever that happens, that's what the yogis call bliss, right? It's this instantaneous moment of ecstasy where you need nothing, you want nothing, and you just kind of like stop grasping and stop pushing and stop worrying, and you just fully let go. And the feeling is just beautiful. You just need nothing else. You need nothing else. You just want to have this moment to itself. And that's where I find like yin really elevates us into it, pushes us into that place. It grounds us into that teaching. All right, yogis, so 30 more seconds here. Just pulling it in again. Remember, with that right leg, you can curl your toes, point your toes. As you relax, feel. And 30 more seconds, just relaxing through. And again, little tiny micro movements are always encouraged. When it comes to yin yoga, right, that would be more yang in nature. So eventually the higher forms, the deeper forms would just be like a strong and steady, pull in the direction. But again, I never dismay or put down micro movements. Micro movements are very powerful, right? So again, micro move as much as you need to. It's very, very good for the energy. All right, yogis. When you're ready, you can release that down to the ground. And good. Let's just take a few minutes to relax, release, squeeze your glutes, release your glutes, squeeze your hands, squeeze your face. Again, just level out on the ground. Let's do one Brahmari to cleanse and clear. Deep breath in. Inhale and exhale, side out. Beautiful. And just continue our gentle journey, 2 more minutes. Again, just stretching, feeling, or doing nothing. Movement is medicine for your body, but as I constantly remind you, stillness is medicine for your mind. The mind is the body is the mind. So whether you're doing one or the other, you're getting your medicine. And so what is medicine, right? Medicine is something that helps heal us, right? It is not healing in itself. The only thing that heals you is you. You've heard me say it many times, right? I'm here to help you. This practice is here to help you. This program is here to help you. Everything is here to help you. The posture, the breathing. The only thing that actually heals you is something that happens inside you. It's a frequency. It's an instinct. It's something that you are. It's in your cells. It's homeostasis. It's balance. So when you're out of balance, when you're hurt, when you're injured, when you're sore, we need time to heal. And that's what these moments are in between. That's what it really is. These little moments in between are actually moments to heal. And so the more healing you need, the more time you spend in these sort of moments of stillness, moments of silence, moments of spaciousness. Because now the cells have nothing to be distracted by, right? You have nothing else to do. So your whole intention can be brought into intention. And that's what the magic happens. And that's what these 5 hours are about. And as the course continues to roll out, 5 hours will start to feel like it's not enough. Then you'll want to do a whole day with me. And then the whole day won't be enough. Then we'll want to do a retreat together. And then the retreat won't be enough. And you'll want to do the 200 hour. You'll want to go away. Right? You'll just keep growing and growing. I always say it, then it becomes a life, and then a lifestyle, and then it becomes your life. Like yoga is your life. It'll just, not even specifically yoga, it could be healing, could be, what this path eventually leads you to, which is non-separation, which is an understanding of you could have everything, you could have nothing. You can do it all, you cannot do it all. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how much you have, how much you do, how little you have, how little you do. For the spirit, it just craves this. It just craves balance. It just craves being. All right, and that's the meaning. So that's what we're growing into today, day 2. That's what we're breaking through. All right? All right. So let's continue through the hips as we start our journey at the base of the spine, because again, yoga is all about the spine. And so we're going to continue. So now we did our beautiful movement. This is another beautiful movement we love to do. It's pigeon. And we're going to do it with the bolster or without the bolster. So I'll leave that to you. Let's start without the bolster. And if you need a little bit more support, I'll guide you through that. So bending the left knee, foot to the floor, take the right knee high up in the air and place that ankle on top of the knee. Again, butterfly out the knee, relax it side to side, right? Just feel it out here for the first minute. Again, don't do anything too much. But again, if you already have an intuition that you're quite tight in your hips, the thing you're going to want to do is just release that for a second, throw the bolster underneath you, and again, just start doing what we're doing with the bolster. And again, all that's doing is just elevating you ever so slightly. Right? And that elevation is just something that's good for you. Or again, it only helps you to be supported, right? It only helps you. So if you know you're tight in your hips, this is something you have to make that decision. Because of course, we're going into it. When we go into it, it's long and deep. So we're going to be into it for 5 minutes. It's going to be a long time for some of you. All right, so I'm going to start the clock once again. All right, yogis, so let's get into it once again. And as what we're going to do now is how to do this. So we call it threading the needle. It's just a nice poetic way of understanding what it is. So you take your right hand, and your right hand becomes the needle. You're going to thread it through, just like a threading string, or what do we call it, yarn through. And then you bring the other leg up towards you, and you grab it with the left hand. Okay, and so that kind of forms like a figure eight, or a figure four. So you're here. If you have a hard time doing this, then you need the bolster, okay? But if you don't have a hard time doing this, you can always use the bolster, again, underneath your head, right? Feels really good. Again, you can take it easy, right? Again, we're not really doing anything with our necks right now, so we don't want to strain our necks. Again, I only emphasize this more and more because when I started my yin yoga program, I didn't need a bolster behind my head. I'm 20-something years old, right? I don't need that. But of course, I started to do more harm than good, right? Because I was doing yin yoga every day. And it starts to build up because I didn't have the flexibility yet, right? So again, I wish someone would have emphasized that to me more and more. And that's why I do it to all of you. All right, yogis? So you're doing great. Notice I'm just taking it really slow. So now we're going to start to pull in toward us. So it's a bend at the elbow. So it's nice and easy, nice and gentle. Okay, so there's no rush. So you're just slowly just bringing it in. And so eventually what you want to imagine is that your ankle and your knee, the inside of the ankle and the knee, are going to end up on your left shoulder. That would be the ankle. And your right knee will end up on your right shoulder. Now, that's a long time to get there. But I can promise you, I have seen it done. I'm not quite there yet. But I have seen it done. It's quite remarkable how flexible some people can be. So again, just a gentle journey. Again, life is not better if we're going to get to there, right? What makes life better is that we can steadily and constantly cultivate an attitude toward taking what is uncomfortable and transforming it through the breath into what is comfortable. Breathing and being. Right? Breathing and being. All the way in and all the way out. Halfway there, yogis. You're doing great. Stay with it. Focus. Allow. Align. Relax. Release. Feel the energy. Nose to toes and crown to tailbone. As you slowly start to relax and feel what's happening down in that hip and how it's connected to your knee and how it's connected to your ankle. And again, we're abducting. We're moving away from the center line. And so you'll notice as we continue on this journey that in yin yoga, everything is done for a very long time. And that's because, again, yang is very fast and quick. Yin is very long and strong. So this whole notion of relaxing or soft, right? You could say yin and yang is strong and yin would be soft. But either way, this whole notion of yielding, of relaxing into it, because it takes 3 minutes approximately. Some people can get there a little faster, others a little slower, but it approximately takes 3 minutes for our bodies to access the connective tissue and what we call myofascia, the muscle tissue. And so today you're going to get a video delivered to all of you to watch at home, but it's called Fuzz. And it's really going to help you understand what connective tissue is and what this thing is. And it's very, very powerful. All right, yogis. It's been 5 minutes, so we're going to Brahmari to clear. Deep breath in. All right, deep breath in, exhale, side out. Okay, listen carefully. Don't do anything else. Just relax everything to the ground, arms out in T, and start to move it side to side. We call it windshield wipering the legs. That's it, nice and easy. You'll feel it. You start there. We're going to do this for 10 deep breaths. Just relaxing it out, long and deep. So we open up that hip. Bringing it down to the other side. Just breathing, just being. Noticing what's happening within you, what's happening around you. Stretching and strengthening. All right, yogis, beautiful. Now from here, what are we going to do? We're just going to relax it out. Give it a little shake. Feel, feel, feel. Right, relax it out on the ground. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze your fists, squeeze your glutes. Feel, feel, feel. Just take a minute just to ground all that energy. Just relax it down. Right, movement is medicine for your body. Stillness is medicine for your mind. Just relax it out. All right, yogis, that's great. So when you're ready, slowly, slowly, and switch sides. This time the right knee comes up, left ankle on top. Good, again, we're just gonna gently, gently just play around a little bit here, just like we did before. Just windshield wiper. Right, just get nice and comfortable. Right, just stretch it out a little bit. Again, there's no rush. Again, when you have all day just to do yoga, there's no rush. And that's why it's so important to start with yin. Right? Because again, you can literally do this all day long. It's a great feeling. All right, yogis, great. So now we thread the needle with the other hand. So the other hand becomes the needle, the left hand. And again, we thread it through. We reach on through, we grab the knee, and we reach the right hand, we grab the other side, and again, start pulling. Remember, if we're feeling tighter in this hip, maybe our left hip is much tighter than our right hip. And again, you're just pulling it in. Gradual, gentle, deep breath in, deeper breath out. That's it, yogis, as you relax, release. All the way in through nose, and all the way out through mouth. Breathing and breathing. All the way in, and all the way out. Good. 5 minutes on the clock. You got this. You got this. That's it, all the way in. In through nose, and out through mouth. Breathing and being. Breathing and being. Down, down, down towards the ground. That's it. In through nose. And exhale long and strong through mouth. Again, it takes time. Again, in our Western culture, with our Western sensibilities, and of course, any of that has led to great innovation, right? The convenience of quick, the convenience of instant gratification. But as the psychological phenomena holds true, instant gratification is not as rewarding as delayed gratification. But unless we learn how to receive or to give value to delayed gratification, then we constantly seek instant gratification. And of course, we've studied this psychologically with children. In children's studies, we give them a marshmallow, and we say, but if you wait 5 minutes and don't eat the marshmallow, which is kind of cruel, because you sit these very young children in front of something they love, and you say, and they're hungry, and you say, but if you don't eat it, you can get 2 marshmallows. If you just wait 5 minutes. And of course, you understood it today as anything, right? If you were to be given anything, but if you would wait 5 minutes more, you could get 2 of that thing, right? For the same price. Right? As adults, you'd be like, yeah, of course I would do that. But as children, we don't have that yet. And some children never have it, and then it grows into adulthood. Of course, it's never 5 minutes. It might be 5 years, might be an hour, might be 10 years. But rarely, if we don't have it when we're children, if we don't learn this skill to be patient when we're young, it usually develops into our adulthood. So it's amazing to watch the kids that wait, and it's amazing to watch the kids that can't wait. And so usually the kids that can't wait, they just focus on the marshmallow, right? They start looking at the marshmallow ever so attentively, and they just can't resist it anymore. They just gobble up the marshmallow. It's adorable, right? And God bless them. They're beautiful children. But if you think about it like this with the hip, or the feeling of, we'll talk about it, being bored, right? For some people, it's just too much. They don't like it. Just give it to me, quick. But the key is that if you really want to open up the hip, it's not going to happen quick. Because the whole part of it not being open happened over the course of your lifetime. So it's going to take a lot of life force energy to open up that hip and get it going. And so the kids that didn't eat the marshmallow usually diverted their attention. They usually looked away from it or started doing things. It's really cute to watch. But again, that's like us. That's why when an advanced yogi, no matter what you put them through, will always focus on their breathing. They don't really focus on the posture. Posture is secondary. The breath comes first. So those who will do that will always have an easier time holding posture. All right, yogis, let's focus on the Brahmari now and let's release it. Deep breath in. Inhale. And exhale, sigh it out. Beautiful. Slowly, keep everything where it is. Again, let's just spend the first minute just relaxing side to side. Trust me, it's the best thing you can do. Ooh, that sounded good. Whatever that was. I always say, cricks and cracks are a standing ovation for a yoga teacher. That's how we receive our applause. Thank you, right? It means it's working, right? So we had this big fear around cricks and cracks when we were younger. I don't know if your parents told you, but our parents always told us, don't do that. right? Don't do that. And that kind of like stayed with me my whole life until I went into yoga training. And then my teacher was like a master anatomist. And now she's a nurse practitioner. She's a great soul. And so I asked her about it. I was like, is it okay to crack your bones? Because it feels good to me. I actually asked it to Kent as well. Because I always check in, I still have this fear like it's not good for you. But that's just because I was told that when I was really young. But what she said to me is it's not good if you're doing it all day, every day, just grinding down the joint, right? That's not good. But she's like, if it comes out of your yoga practice, it's great. It means the joints are moving and, space is being created in the joint. So again, don't be afraid if you hear cricks and cracks. It's not the end of the world. If you got a lot of them, that's okay. Again, but if you're going to do it every day, all day, and just crick, crack, you may grind down the bone. That's a different story, okay? All right, relax, release, yogis. Spend your time just doing what feels right for you. Let's do one Brahmari before we kind of get into that. So deep breath in. Inhale. And exhale, sigh it out. Beautiful. Just move and groove, yogis. Whatever feels right for you. As you relax, release. And take your time. That's it. Take your time. All right, yogis. As we continue to relax and chill, just slowly, again, starting to squeeze our fists, squeeze our face, squeeze our glutes. Right, channel that energy through. Taking your time to unwind. Starting to feel the rest and relaxation. It's the joy of the practice. All right, beautiful. So now, again, there's so many hip openers, and we're going to cover a few today. But we're going to now take ourselves from the ground. Now we're going to come up into our seated portion. So again, soles of the feet to the ground, just roll onto left to right side, whatever works for you. Just roll on to left to right side. Let's come up. And as we come up, we're going to allow ourselves to just take that bolster to the middle point. Again, knees wide, toes touch. And again, I just want you to start real slow. Again, just place that hand out in front. Just be nice and cozy. Again, bolster's nice because it just pulls us up a little bit. And so I just want you to play with that anterior and posterior tilt. So again, just focusing on tailbone up and tailbone down. And we'll just focus on that for a minute. Just nice and easy. Again, toes touch or toes wide. And just feeling the tilt up and down. That's it, yogis. Tilting up and tilting down. Nice and easy. Take your time. Deep breath in through nose. And exhale long and strong through mouth. Good. 20 more seconds, yogis. Just keep your head in a neutral position. Just feel it down below. Right down into the hips. Just moving and grooving. All right. And now we're going to start to send those hips down towards the heels. And then back up. And as you tilt towards the heels and back up, again, as you go back, your tailbone is actually going to lift. You're now going to feel it lift up as much as you can. And then as you come forward, you're going to tilt it downward towards the ground. Now for some of you, you might want to bring that bolster a little bit more in front so you can really just drop into that. Okay? Don't worry about lifting the head just yet. I just want you to feel it in your hips. So as you go back, right, you're doing the same movement. Now you're being a little bit more aware that you're trying to lift your tailbone up. So it's like a tail. You're trying to lift it up. And then as you come forward, you're trying to point it down. Squeezing your glutes. So again, backward, right? Posterior to the back, and then anterior to the front, pushing it down. Feeling it. Deep breath in, and deeper breath out. Deep breath in. And deeper breath out. And feeling that healing energy. All right, yogis, beautiful. So just feeling that in our spine with our hips. Beautiful. We're going to take that bolster now, again, midway. So placing it in the middle. Last week we did our pigeon in the position. And if you've been coming to class, we've been doing a lot of that. So today I'm going to show you a different one. Pigeon's great for a hip opener. This one is 2. So this opens up your hip in a different way, but it's very strong. So first I'll show it this way. If you have a real issue with doing it this way, I can show you how to do it on the ground. So just wait patiently and I'll get you on a second. So that's the modification. So if you're ready, though, we're going to do lizard, which is basically doing a low lunge. It's a very powerful posture. Some people dread it. It's like pigeon because, again, we're getting deep into the hips. So first crawl up on your bolster. Again, I like using the bolster because, again, it was one of those things that wasn't really encouraged when I started doing yin training. And then because I love yin yoga and I was doing it all the time, I actually wore out my meniscal tissue in my knee because I wasn't quite at the energy yet of weight bearing through the back of the foot, which we'll talk about. So I really just do this more for safety. And again, it's a support. It's fantastic. And I know you have weak knees, definitely invest in some great volleyball pads because that's just going to make your whole life a whole lot easier. It doesn't change anything about your yoga. Okay, so when you're ready, you're going to replace like a game of twister, your right hand with your right foot. So you lean on over to your left side, and you're just going to step forward, nice and easy. So take your time to do that. That's right. All right, nice and slowly. So first thing you always have to remember, especially for different body types, is that you always want to reach the inside. Like make your life easy. Our habit is to do this, but that's a lot harder than doing this. So always reach the inside. So you're making it hard on yourself, right? Of course, why not, right? That's how the problem started in the beginning. So putting it on the inside. Okay, so there we go. So again, nice and easy. We're not doing much here. Again, not much in the sense of like this is perpendicular. But the idea here is you're going to start to want to walk back. But the problem is the bolster's a little close. So what you want to do is lift your knee and just give it one flip back. And that's where you start to walk. Actually, that might be too much. Sorry guys, just a little bit back. So you can stretch your leg back. Okay? Then again, maybe just walking back a little bit. But basically your knee stays on the bolster until you're able to graduate where you don't have any pain in your knee. That's something we'll do later. So level 1, you stay here long and strong and you continue to open up that hip. Okay, I'm going to start the timer. We're not going to hold super long here, just 3 minutes today. But just getting you used to it because this is a very powerful one for the hip. Okay, level 2, you bring one forearm down. Level 3, both forearms. right? Level 4, you can go all the way down, bringing your head to the ground. Okay. Whatever you choose to do, remember, always stay safe, right? Always stay relaxed. And with that bolster, we don't have to really do too much prep to protect the knee by straightening the leg and stuff, which you've seen me do in other classes. But the idea here is just to have that bolster there as a support. So again, take it at any level you like. There's no right or wrong, but you're just sinking into the hip. And again, that's why you have to learn those pelvic tilts. So that tilting down of the tailbone, right? So now you'll feel it. Your tilt will want to go up. So you want to keep tilting it down. Ken, can you do me a favor, bro? Can you just hand out a few blocks or bolsters to some people who are, away from the mat? You'll see them. You'll know who they are. All right, so again, just breathing and being. We got 2 more minutes to go. And so if you're ever away from the floor or you're too far from the floor, it's always a good idea to have some blocks with you or a second bolster. There we go. So if you have a hard time, finding the floor, always remember blocks are always good for that because they'll just prop you up a little bit higher. Again, you can sink as low as you want to go. The lower you sink, the deeper it is on that hip. And some people ask, is it okay to wing it out? So basically, if the ridge, the inside foot opens up, and of course, it's always okay to do that. So letting that knee open up, right? So relaxing it down. So as that knee opens up, relaxing it down, letting it wing out. Again, just opens up a little bit of a different part of your hip. And again, what are we doing again? We're abducting, we're opening up. All right, 1 more minute to go. You're doing great, yogis. Deep breath in, deeper breath out. In any of the 3 levels, get a nice big stretch to that hip. And again, you can feel it. So I looked around the room. I didn't notice anyone who needed the modification, so we'll talk about that during the later part of the practice. But for everyone, I think we're good. We got 30 more seconds left to go. You're doing great. Stay with it. Deep breath in, and deeper breath out. In through nose and out through mouth. Always relaxing your head. Down, down, down towards the ground. All right, yogis. 1 Brahmari declare. Deep breath in. Inhale. Exhale, side out. All right, here comes the hard part. Come up. Slowly, slowly. Again, bend that knee by bringing that leg a little closer. This is the hard part. How do you bring this life back into this energy? I just start by going forward and back a few times. And then when you feel like, okay, I got life back into it, walk back, push back, downward dog or child's pose, and ground that energy into the ground. Deep breath in, and deeper breath out. So I'll get Ken to talk about what that feeling is. When circulation comes through the body, we almost feel like this dead leg or this dead arm when we practice something, right? There is a physiological phenomenon that occurs. And again, I call it energy. Definitely is energy. But again, that's the more artistic, kind of spiritual way, because it definitely is energy. But if you are interested in the physiology of it, right, we'll get Ken to talk about that a little later, which will be great. In the meantime, enjoy as you push back through the heels, stretching and feeling. Good. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful, yogis. Knees back, down. I'm going to turn so the other side of the room can see me. But you just stay where you are. Bring your knees down, back again. Walk it forward. This time we're going to replace our left hand with our left foot. Hands to the inside. Good. Of course, we're going to, again, bring that knee back, but make sure it stays on the bolster. Okay, so make sure you stay on the bolster. So if you need to just kind of adjust a little bit, that's okay. Start strong. Start long. let's start to sink down if we need to sink down. Deep breath in, deeper breath out. That's it, yogis, you're doing great. Stay with the feeling. Stay with the healing. In through nose and out through mouth. That's it. Long and strong through that. And again, it's just time, right? We need time. We need time to experience. We need time to experience the knowledge that comes from that experience. Right? Spending time in the posture. Right? What makes one an expert at something is not a piece of paper. What makes one an expert at something is what it took to get that piece of paper. Makes someone an expert. Maybe they don't even need a piece of paper to be an expert. It's the time. And the more time we spend in something, and this is that delayed gratification, right? That ability to understand over time by investing in it. And they usually say it takes about 10,000 hours for someone to be gilded into the true sense of the word, being a master at something. Right? Doing great, yogis. Stay with it. Deep breath in. Deeper breath out. Oh, Eric, you left at the perfect time, eh? So we're on the left side this time. Yeah, that's it. Beautiful. And sinking into that hip. All right, yogis, when you're ready, one brow and ready to clear, deep breath in. Inhale, exhale, side out. Beautiful. Slowly coming up. Again, bring life back to that leg. Again, circulation, movement. And then when you feel like you have the life restored, push it back. Again, down dog, child's pose, cat cow, whatever it is you're feeling. Bring on the healing. Deep breath in. And deeper breath out. In through nose. And out through mouth. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, yogis, beautiful work. So now coming back. All right, we're going to take our bolster, we're going to flip it now here. Good, just in front of us. All right. We're going to sit down now. And as we sit down now, this is basically like doing a double version of what we just did, which again is really, really good for us. But using the bolster is nice because again, for some of us, we can lean forward and back. Now again, some of us might need 2 bolsters, right? Because we're not able to sink all the way down yet. Okay, so spending that time, again, you're going to be here for a while. So again, giving yourself that time to relax into it, to feel. After this one, you're going to get a nice 3-minute hold just to yourself. So deep breath in, And deeper breath out, relaxing that. Now, if you don't need the bolster, you don't need the bolster. Like, I really don't need the bolster, but it's just nice. Again, it's a nice support. Again, it's not really taking away anything. But if you feel like, these bolsters aren't that firm, so you do sink into it. But if you feel like you don't need it at all, you can remove it. That's not a problem. But then stretching your arms forward, relaxing your head down, and always remembering, we're always moving toward the ground. Again, what's the teaching, right? Grounding, right? You're learning about grounding. You're going to be the best grounders in Toronto by the end of this program, right? No one teaches grounding like we teach grounding. It's all about the ground, right? So if you think about lightning, being grounded, right? Think of all that neurological activity in your mind, which it is. It's just little lightning going, right? Synapses firing. We are electrical-based beings. All that electricity just being grounded into the ground. And that's why yoga is the practice of, taking those oscillations we discussed about, those sensations, the gamma waves, the beta waves, the alpha waves, into the theta, and then the delta, the lower vibration. Because that's when we can see through all the sensations and perceptions that are constantly not bombarding us, but they're flowing through us, right? And if you notice the difference between last week and this week, ability to have the beautiful galaxy light and then having this beautiful kind of stock melody, right? It's not really a song. It's not pulling us into distraction. It's just a simple white noise, what they call something in the background, fills the space nice and light. But the beauty is how many times are you hearing it and then not hearing it. Right? And when I bring your attention toward it, I call this the cocktail effect. You're at a party and you're focusing on the person you're listening to, you're focusing on me, so you forget about the music will disappear. Let's say all of a sudden someone says your name, and all of a sudden you're paying attention to me, and now your attention shifts and goes across the room to the person who just mentioned your name. And so this whole story I'm telling you about is the psychological phenomena of the marshmallow. Again, you wait 5 minutes, your hips are going to be so much better, right? So how do the children get through that 5 minutes, right? If they just focus on the pain in the hip, they won't make it through. But if they're able to, in our case, divinely distract ourselves, which is about staying present, staying with the breathing, staying with the feeling. We're just trying to escape the suffering that we're trying to liberate. And that's why we're all here. We're all here to liberate ourselves. And through the many teachings, realize how to best do that. And again, little tiny movements is really encouraged. Imagine if I told you you couldn't move. And then any movement you did, you'd feel guilty about. Right? So it's powerful about what the rules and regulations can be and how that can affect our experience. So deep breath in, and deeper breath out. And relax, letting it release. Long and strong. More seconds. All right, yogis, one Brahmari to clear, and then we're going to splash back. Deep breath in. Exhale, sigh it out. And when you're ready, inhale. Exhale, lie back, relax. Nothing better. Oh, yeah. We call in yoga yogasm. Just comes through long and strong. Nothing better. Feeling orgasmic about feeling whole in your body, right? The ecstasy, the joy, the feeling, the relief. Finally, it's happened. Right? The joy. All right, yogis, 3 minutes, right? You don't have to just lie there. You can do anything you want. If something calls to you, feel free. What a journey. And after this journey, you're going to be spoiled. It's going to be really, really hard just to stick to 1 hour classes, right? As it was for me when I came back from India. It takes so much more time. And if you ever get to experience a young, apprentice, protege, next Alex accompanying Bria, who's also going to be starting to teach here hopefully sometime soon. She does a 4-hour practice. It's so wonderful. It's beautiful. You just melt into this amazing experience. This time is energy. The more time you spend in the energy, the more the energy you invest in, the more benefit, growth you receive from all this grounding we're doing. All this resting, all this releasing. All right, yogis. Looks good, feels good. Breathing and being, knowing and showing. All right, when you're ready, I'm going to just do one last posture, okay? One last posture, okay? And this one is our cobbler pose. Okay, we did it last week, but this week we're going to do a little bit different, okay? So you just bring your arms behind you, curl into the experience. I just want you to relax side to side. Just relax, nothing too crazy here. Again, just nice and easy. Again, we've already done cobbler pose, so you know the pose and what it is. So right now, we're just going to focus on just relaxing it through, just side to side. And again, you can go a little bit further back, and you can come a little bit more forward. Right, but just relax it out. And again, this is where the bolster is great. You can do it on the floor, but it feels really, really good for the bolster. I used to get tailbone bruises. I used to do so much yoga, in the beginning. My tailbone was bruised because again I never used a bolster, so I was always using the ground, and of course yoga mats back then were not as thick and elegant as they are today. They were just usually just the more inexpensive rubbery ones that you find kind of at the cheaper variation now. So it's really, really nice to remember all these moments because I'm like, right, that's what used to happen. Right? Used to get bruised, right? Doing too much. So again, stuff like this is really, really good for you, but doing it on the ground can be really if you do too much of it, it can be too much. So again, always remembering, not that there's a shortcut, but rather there's supports, right? And supports go a long way. All right, yogis? So beautiful. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put it all together. We're going to kind of go full circle. So watch me. You're going to bring your knees together. And you're going to just push that bolster back behind you. And now we're going to place it right on our tailbone, open up into cobbler, and we're going to continue our cobbler pose, where we're going to do it lying back, opening up our heart center. And we're going to start with our Brahmari. Okay, so long and strong. Deep breath in. Don't wait for me, don't wait for your neighbor. arms open up like wings, fingers like feathers. One more minute. Last one. Inhale, exhale, sigh it out. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Beautiful, yogis. And when you're ready now, I just want you to relax back all the way down to the ground. I just want you to chill here, be still. Relax everything just down, down, down towards the ground. Let it all go. Just be here. Just be clear. Focus on the feeling. Focus on the healing. All the way in through nose, all the way out through mouth. In through nose and out through mouth. And if you're comfortable with the bolster behind you, you can keep it there. And I would prefer you all just to lie flat. Let your legs extend and just spend a few minutes working your way through your Shavasana. Getting down, down, down towards the ground. Maybe even placing the bolster behind your head if you feel more comfortable with that. Just taking a deep breath in, and a deeper breath out. Just knowing what's going on within yourself, what's going on around yourself. As you relax, release, down, down, down towards the ground. Just breathing and being. Just being and breathing. Letting everything go and everything flow. Gently, gently, down, down, down towards the ground. Focusing on the inhale. And focusing long and strong on the exhale. Nice and grounded, down, down, down towards the ground for your extended meditation in Shavasana. Closing your eyes, going inside, and just taking an adult nap time. Just being awake to the energy within yourself and around yourself. As you relax down, 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 down towards the ground. Nice and easy. Nice and slowly. And just taking the last minute of movements, if you have any movements left in you to do. And just making your way flat onto the ground so the earth can fully absorb you. Fully take in your stillness, your silence, your spaciousness. If your lower back is bugging you for any reason, just place it underneath your knees. Just let it relax your body. And just try and lay out here as gently and as calmly as you can. And this is how we start to cultivate a place of stillness, of silence, of spaciousness within ourselves. Remembering the healing feeling of breathing and being. And breathing and being down, 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 down towards the ground. As you let everything go. As you let everything flow. And just gently, gently being soft. Yielding, releasing. Remember, yoga is not something you do, it's something you are. There's the practice of yoga, and then there's the experience of yoga. Right now, we're in the experience altogether. One experience it is. Right, to have this time to be at peace. This peace is the most precious thing in this world. There's nothing more profitable than not peace. And there's nothing more profitable than trying to get into peace. There's no way to profit from peace. Peace is what we are. Peace is what things are. Without any doing, without any having. And so it's about pure being. Just being. And when you got that, you got everything. The universe is at peace. Your deeper self is at peace. And so it's just about forming that relationship. The inner world and the outer world. As above, also below. As around, also within. So the only thing that stands in our way is our mind and our body. Remember, the mind and the body are only separate because we think they're separate, or we feel they're separate through pain, through trauma, through suffering. The mind and body are one. And through the practice of pranayama, breathing, we're able to deepen that connection. Because it's the spirit that makes it whole. The spirit is what connects them as one. The spirit, the self, whatever you want to call it. It's you. It's the thing that occupies the body. It's the thing that the mind, as a tool, as an instrument, expresses itself through. As you continue to relax down, down, down towards the ground, right? Letting yourself align rather than be defined. No matter what we've ever gone through in life, we always have the opportunity to release it back to the earth where it came from. All of our problems, all of our worries, all of our woes, all of our mistakes, every single accident, all came from the earth, an aspect of the earth. And so it can go back to the earth, and go back to the ground. And so yin is about this way, this grounding. Whereas yang is more about blowing off steam and releasing it in that capacity. It all comes back to the earth. All forms its cycle, its flow. And it all connects back to you because you are the one observing it, you're the one witnessing it, you're the one experiencing it. So if yang is the light that comes from the sun that gives us energy, then yin is the gravity, the weight of the sun that holds us here, that holds us here. And just as essential life is to life, so too and equal is gravity. And so you are feeling gravity right now through your body. You've been feeling it your whole life. This practice is all about understanding it as a phenomenon, as an energy that we can cultivate and perpetuate within our lives, within our practice. Letting everything draw down, down, down into the ground, deeper and deeper, more and more. So whatever you want to let go of, you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to do anything. It's being taken away as you find more and more peace, more and more calm, more and more rest. And that's what heals the body. If the emotions come, that's okay, because they're being released. And don't do anything. Don't try and have any kind of experience. Just let yourself be neutral. Let whatever arises just go back down to the ground. And down to the earth. As you gently guide yourself through this experience. You guide yourself down, down, down to the ground. For who you are at your deepest level is peace. So you're coming to know yourself in a deeper way. And again, peace is not something we do. Peace is something we are. Just like yoga, being whole. It's not something you do, it's something you are. It just appears not to be that way. So as you continue to rest and digest from that beautiful practice, all that energy in our hips move down, down, down towards the ground. Just letting it go. Letting it flow. Finding the deeper meaning of our being. The deeper relaxation of our bodies. Letting everything shine. Lighter than light and brighter than bright. Lighter than light and brighter than bright. Breathing and being. Yogis, just take a deep breath in and exhale, side out. Place our hands in our heart center, just remembering, we must not forget our intention throughout this program, why we're here. It's very, very important to continue to cultivate, perpetuate, and instill this in ourselves. Because again, this is the power of you being the teacher, you being the guide. Everything is here to help you on this journey to understand that you have the power. The sovereignty and the autonomy is in yourself. You have equal and as right much to it as anyone else. Not just in this room, but in the world. You have a direct connection to the source. Without any surrogate standing in your way. So as you cultivate that relationship a little bit more with your intention, just giving a little affirmations of gratitude, we're just going to start to roll out our thank yous. It's a very important practice I find and I do. I'd like to share with all of you. It's a way of just saying thank you to everything we've experienced today and throughout this program. So as we take a deep breath in, thank you, 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 thank you. Until there's no more breath left. I need to breathe in again. Thank you, 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 thank you. By the time we're done, we're going to say it 100 times. Thank you, 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 thank you. Elevating our vibration. Thank you, 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 thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you. Really meaning it. Thank you, 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 thank you. Really feeling it. Thank you, 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 thank you Thank you, 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 thank you. Last time. Thank you, 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 thank you. And with that, yogis, let's place our hands in Namaskar Mudra, prayer position over the heart. And just being in gratitude for this moment with ourselves, with each other, through the practice, through the teachings, with our intention brought into our attention. And again, collectively forming the constellation of this moment. Being the ones in the world who are practicing yoga here and now, the living exemplars of yoga, the living exemplars of the yogis, the sadhana, and the practice. We are part of it in a lineage of love that has spanned millennium and will go on for millennium more as those who seek peace, wholeness within their heart, within their family, within their friends, with all their relationships, with the earth, with the universe. And as we journey on that path, we honor it throughout time and space by chanting one mantra, Om, to close. Deep breath in. Om. Deep breath in. And exhale, side out. All right, and with that, yogis, such an honor to guide your practice. We're going to keep the yoga space as silent space. So if you want to do some journaling or you just want to do some extra healing, again, we're going to go meet out again at the meeting place of the break. For those who don't know, you can follow one of your yoga students. It's basically just at Catalyst. There's a big table there. Your tea and treats will be waiting for you. I love you all. I thank you all. Thank you for the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time spent in this beautiful energy. Okay, so welcome everyone to day 2. We're coming through. We're working on the hips today. We had a beautiful practice to help remind us, what it is that our hips are made of. And we're here in yin to soften. And for some of us, a lot of those postures that I put you through was quite powerful, right? So you had a powerful experience. And so the hips is really the first step in which we're going to take and cultivate this journey of grounding. We're going to learn to ground the hips. And that's what the practice was all about today. We grounded the energy in the hips. So sometimes we have to stir up the energy. We have to cultivate this kind of energy. We've got to kind of, like they say, kick up dust to make it happen. And then we kind of slowly, slowly calm it down. And that's why we take all those times to integrate with Shavasana. So the hips are the junk drawers. There's a lot of physical releasing happening, emotional releasing happening, but also There's mental stuff too. There's a lot of association with the hips. In yoga philosophy, we call these chakras. So in the chakras, we have the first chakra and the second chakra. And then it gets to the third chakra, which is basically where the rib cage and abdomen hit. So the first two chakras deal with our needs and wants, our safety, security, our sexuality, the energy. There's a lot happening here. In color theory, it would be red and orange, moving its way up into yellow, right? Like the rainbow. So it's a vibration, it's a spectrum, it's a grounding. And so this idea of just down into the hips and liberating the hips, opening up the hips, is really important because the hip is a ball and socket joint. It moves in 360, although you might not feel it now. Throughout this program, hopefully you will start to feel it more and more and more and more, okay? So we're gonna work on the hips today. So I'm gonna call Kent up here. We're gonna work through some stuff and then we're gonna work through it as some partners. We're gonna get through the training of the posture. So he's gonna lie down. So what we're gonna look at, first and foremost, as he bends his feet, bends his knees, his feet, right. So we were in this position. So this is our prone position. So this is something you always want to wonder. If someone's chest is ever like really pulling up, this is something we really want flaring up. This is always something we encourage, is that bringing the knees to the ground. The feet to the ground and the knees bent to allow the lower back to relax. Just allow that ground. Remember, our spine is not on a straight line, right? So this whole idea of the spine being a straight line, never gonna happen. So this whole idea of the anterior and posterior tilting of the spine, and Kent's gonna start to demonstrate it, is really to help create space. And I hope in the beginning of our practice you really enjoyed that feeling. Everyone get a good feeling through that? Tilting the tailbone up and down, was that new for you? Remember we went into that? So you can take notes if you want. Again, it's all being recorded, so it's good. But again, just so you know, this is where it's coming from. So I always start at the base of the spine. It's gonna awaken with the energy. And then it's the path of Kundalini. So Kundalini resides at the base of the spine, needs to be awakened, comes up. This Kundalini energy is the psychic life force energy that brings in liberation and realization for the yogi. So starting at the base of the spine is a really important part of this journey, this process. So this just tilting of the posterior anterior tilt is really important, just to wake up the spine. And then of course we built it up. We built it up, higher and higher and higher, and then we start to lift it up, right? And then we start to go into our forward fold. But we didn't grab our knees, we grabbed the foot. We could grab it, so pushing down to the ground, and then drawing knees into chest, tucking chin, and curling it. That's it, all the way. Lifting yourself up, yeah, that's it. Or he can place his hands on the floor as well. Right, so either way, he's in a safe position. So this is what Ken was explaining to you. This is flexion of the spine, forward fold, and then he's going to go into an extension as he lifts his hips up, arms up, and come up. That's it. Beautiful, right? So this is that journey. So as we do these movements, this is really, really important for the hips, because the hips aren't really moving a whole lot if we're just walking around and sitting all day. You know, they're not getting those angles and those movements. So this is really, really important. So we did this for a while. It started to feel really good. We started to make the movement bigger and bigger. We used the bolster to support us. And then we brought the knees in towards our chest. So we brought the one knee in, we brought the other knee in, we brought both knees in. So again, just going back to help you remember the practice. By this point, I should prime you enough to remember that the journey we took through that practice before we started to go up into la la land. Right? So beautiful. So all of these movements of our body is really, really important to our hips. So what we're going to do today is we're going to explore this with our partners, and it's going to be in a very simple way. So there's not much we can do for our partners in terms of working together. When it comes to the pelvic tilting, that's just something we have to do on our own. We have to work on our own pelvic tilting up and down, up and down, up and down. But there is something we can do with this that we can support each other and really deepen our understanding and our practice. So coming into knees into chest as he is, right hand on right knee, left hand on left knee. One of the things that we can do for our partners is we can add some pressure. And this is a really nice feeling. So one of the things you can do just with your partner is that they don't need to use their hands, because you see how with the grip and the pull through the elbows, there's tension. So Ken, you just relax now. You relax your arms down to your side, let it go. And so one of the things I want you to work with your partners is to feel each other's bodies and experience, again, palms, nice and safe, is this idea of putting your weight into it. How's that? Awesome. Awesome, right? And why does it feel awesome?
The lower back is being opened with the raise of my pelvis through the touching of my legs.
This idea of decompression of the spine, right? His lumbar spine. I always say it's like a passport to prana. When he starts breathing and being, you're basically getting your passport stamped. You're arriving. You're becoming more present. So this is a way to just help someone become present. It's nice and easy. It's very safe. Doesn't require a lot of energy from you, and it helps you allow your spine to relax down towards the ground. And this is really, really important. So as we move and groove, we're just feeling this knee into the body as we move that energy through. So one of the things that we're going to start talking about in our yoga language and our yoga terminology is how we direct things. So for ourselves and for others. And this is our first day kind of looking at a posture, knees in the chest, the simplest posture of all postures. That is called the seed posture. It's a little seed. One of the things we're going to start noticing is there's 3 words that we always have to be aware of in the background. You can write down in your books, and you're going to start hearing it when you come to classes, and you're going to have to start practicing. So it's object. So the object is the knees, just like we played Yogi Says. You know, Yogi says knees, you know. Then it goes into the action. Knees move. And where are the knees moving? Into chest, the direction. So it's like the knees are moving or melting into his chest, his abdomen, his, you know, usually you use the word stomach, because stomach is an organ, but some people say it's belly, into the floor, and back. So using these 3 words to really orient yourself, just noticing how we do it. This is a really basic way of not just teaching yourself, but knowing what you're doing. When you look at something, you know, identify the noun, right? Just like in school. What's the noun? Well, those are the knees, right? What's the word? What's the action? And what's the direction? Where is it going? What's the orientation? Okay? So these 3 things you're going to hear me talk about when we do things. So when you think, you're like, okay, knees move toward shoulders, right? And just nice and simple. And you're going to feel it. And though this is really sort of language that seems really simple, it's important to start your yoga journey. Just start doing that with, and then it can get more flowery and fun. But the reason why we do object, action, direction is because if you don't do that, then people are lost in space. So if I look at Ken and he was sitting there with his hands, hey Ken, can I help you move toward the floor and melt you? He's like, what is he talking about? Right? What is moving and what is melting? Like, you're going to get straight. So if you go to a yoga class that you don't enjoy and don't know why, it's usually, I always say to the students, it's because of the language. The languaging is off. So it's like trying to do a vinyasa with someone who's not putting the object in front. All right, and now we're going to move in the back of the room with our right hand. It's like everyone up at that point is just waiting to hear what are we doing to the back of the room, you know, and then the right hand comes up and then everyone just like shoots their hand up. So it creates a thing. So when we start to work with our people, when we start to work with our thing, what we're going to start to notice is how to decompress the spine. What we're doing with knees into chest and working with each other is we're going to bring our hands to our knees and we're going to work on this energy. We're going to work on bringing the knees, the object, the action, down towards the floor. Just something to be aware of. That's a little bit of the teaching cue. And then also too, opening up and feeling how that feels for you. Right? Relaxing down. Feeling the resistance. Right? It's good to work with other people's bodies. So again, nice and slow, just shifting the weight, getting lots of feedback from your partner, in and out, and then relaxing down. So we're just going to do that little light activity with each other just to feel our bodies, for them to feel our bodies, to feel a different body, because sometimes in yoga we can get stuck inside ourselves. So it's good to know. And then just slowly, just remember it. You're working with the knees. Where are you going? What's the action and the direction? So you want to write it down. It's object, action, direction. And that's what you're doing in yoga. You're constantly moving this kind of ABC. Okay, through. All right, beautiful. So we're going to start with when relieving pose, and then we're going to keep going. So we're going to partner up. I'm going to put Reza and Rebecca together today. I'll put the 2 of you together today. Beautiful. I will do the boys and do the girls. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So get together. We have 3 minutes on the clock. We will wander around the room and help you. Just put your partner for 3 minutes, just into knees into chest. But again, give them a new experience. You're gonna have a new experience. You're gonna feel the weight of someone pushing down on you. More yin. Yeah, more yin. Yeah, decide who goes first. Player 1, player 2. Roll around. Remember, you are the camera. Be the camera. Oh, you got backwards. Okay, so this is gonna feel good. This will be good. Yeah, this will be good. Yeah. Even actually, probably the opposite. No, meaning like if she's saying that, just knowing how much yoga, knowing her. Yeah. But well, yeah, we're not. Yes. Beautiful. Oh, yeah, I got you. You're going to use your knees. I got you. And the chins. Push that down. So how does that feel? Yeah, right? Yeah. Extra pressure decompresses the spine. Yeah. Then you can start to tuck the chin too and roll it out. Feel the length of your spine. Again, it's all about getting grounded. And just that extra little bit of support allows you to understand how your body works, and then you're getting the feedback of what you need more of. When you guys switch it up, you'll get this experience of like, this is what it feels like. Yeah. Right? Because you won't get the feeling just pulling your knees. Yeah. Right? You need that counter force, someone else's force.
Someone else pushing on.
Yeah, because it's like intensifying gravity. Okay. Right? This person's like a living manifestation of extra gravity, right? More weight. Right? And so the more weight goes through, the more the spine relaxes down, and more elongated along the floor. That's cool. Super beautiful. That's it, brother. And just deep breath in and deeper breath out. Good. 1 more minute to go. Feeling the energy. Feeling the flow. That's beautiful. How's that feel? Good? Beautiful. Good. That's it. Down, down, down. Yeah. And also talk to your partner which feels better, wider or more inward. Abduction, outward, or adduction, inward. What feels better, when the hips go outward or when the hips go inward? Toward the center line. That's the spine.
Different? Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
What feels better for you? Out or in? Out feels better, right? In feels harder? Most men feel harder with in. Women feel better without. Oh, interesting. Meaning the opposite. So for men, it's harder. It's actually, they more enjoy the open because their sacrum is more open. But for men, it's actually easier for us, the sensation of bringing it in. But for them, the sensation of out is better and the in is harder. Oh, yeah, so if you're feeling it, there's a variation on that. But it's always like, again, what you need more of.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, crew, thank your partner for the beautiful compression.
All right.
And we'll switch it up.
Let me help you out.
Just working it through. Deep breath in. Deeper breath in. Okay, so the knees are moving toward the ground. Knees pushing inward towards your partner. Right, allowing the energy through, experiencing the decompression of the spine, and getting the experience of the weight. So once you have this experience, now this is forever going to change your knees into the chair. That's it, Rebecca. Good. How's that? Yeah, you can totally push it. So move your hands out of the way so the what that's showing her is like you're guarding here. Now she moved. Maybe Rebecca, if you stood up, because then you can put your whole weight into it and just lean into it. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Good. And you can try doing opening of the knees. See a thing. Yeah, try and open open. Try and see the extension, the range of motion your partner has, right? How far the knees open, how far they close. Again, it's rare for us to see another person how they do yoga. Right? How far can it open up? How far can it close down? Feel, right? You're connecting with their body. All right, yogis. And let's thank our partners for that beautiful, beautiful stretch. Give them a high five. Good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yep, nice and loose. Keep it loose, keep it light. Yes. So as we feel this energy, you're getting more understanding, more relationship with your body, right? Working with someone else shows you, oh, you know, again, you can't assume that, you know, I always assume that everyone is just taking it from their own perspective. They only know their own body, that's the only way they know it. So even just being able to spend time with someone else is always a special thing. All right, so we're gonna go into the next part. All right, so we did this. We got into our knees and the chest, and again, elongation of the spine. Remember, we do all these things to open up the hips, right? And this is the key. We did our yin practice of grounding, again, the spine going long. There's 4 curves to the spine, and we want to get that nice and long. So we've got those little tiny micro movements. And again, we talked about the benefits of this posture and all the beautiful things that this brings to it, okay? So we then transition, we did a few more stuff, but then we transition into the next stuff. This is where we're really going to go deeper. So this is our pigeon pose. We're going to look at pigeon today because pigeon, if you really want to understand the hip, we got to talk about pigeon. And I know Kent will talk alongside of me. So we will do this together. Yeah, I'll just kind of go through it and then maybe you go through it too. Yeah, we'll do it together. Yeah, same, double dragon. So, yeah, so pigeon pose. So you don't need the bolster, but I like the bolster. And like I said, we are going to do a group buy. So if you guys do want to do a bolster, it's a good thing to have at home. But I'm going to show you without the bolster, okay? So, without the bolster. So the first thing we did was we did it lying down on our backs. That was the lying down version, which is great. We're now going to look at the upright version because we're already open and we're ready to go and really explore the hip. So you come into tabletop, and then what you do is you bring that right knee to the right wrist and the left ankle to the left hip, and then you walk back. Now for people who are older or perhaps not as flexible, they don't have to do it this way. They can just do it this way. So what I always show them is you just come into tabletop, you bring your right knee, and then you just sit down. And you just get them to sit down, okay? So we're all gonna try this, okay? So we're gonna pretend like we can't do it, okay? So again, let's go to the lexicon, right knee to right wrist, right? The right knee moves toward the right wrist, the object, the action, the direction, and then the right hip is going to sit down towards the ground, right? And you see, once you get that lexicon going, anyone can teach yoga. Super easy. Just keep repeating it. It's a practice. It's a way of doing it. You can be a good yoga teacher in no time. But ultimately, teach yourself. So this is what we call deer pose. So deer pose is my favorite yoga posture, and pigeon and deer are these two kind of the names we call them. But for the hip, it's remarkable. So first things first, you're going to take your right hand down to the ground, your left hand on your hip, and you're going to start to massage open your hip. Left and right, forward and back. We're just going to keep going, massaging that hip forward and back. As we do that, good. Paula, can you pass me your phone so I can have a timer? Because I want to send time. So what we're going to do is ground the right hand, and I literally want you to just keep rolling out through that hip. Just keep massaging it out through the hip, relaxing forward and back. So when we talk about opening up the hip, extending through the hip, the whole key to this is allowing ourselves to get deeper and deeper into the hip. You know what, Ken, why don't we group chat? We can, if you want to just even hang out beside me, that way the mic can pick it up. But if you want to talk about the hip too. But I'm going to let them do this. We're going to do this for 3 minutes. And while I do this, we're going to just keep rolling in and out for 3 minutes so you can just feel it again. And while we do this, maybe Ken can talk a little bit about the hip as well.
So in general, we want to make sure that the person feels safe in how they're applying their weight to a loaded position. We'll get into this in more detail in other positions, but when we close a chain, which is basically if my leg is free in space, it is open. Okay, so any movement that I apply through it does not have the extra compression of something on the other end. It's just the weight of the leg itself. As soon as we close it, like Alex is, we place way more pressure in every shift of weight that we do. So we have to be very conscious of what's safe and what is appropriate for the person that day. You know, you could be the most flexible person in the world and you just wake up and something feels off and maybe you got to dial back from where you were. And in this case, he's open, he does this all the time. I am coming back from a meniscus injury. I can't handle the same range that Alex did. If I go to shift and drop into our little deer here, the problem I'm going to have is I immediately feel it in my knee. The way that I can keep that safe, and this is true for everyone, is I really focus on pointing my foot. And when you do that, you allow your body to rotate the lower part of the leg, because there's a small rotation that happens when we bend and extend from the knee, and you will never really see it. Some people are crazy mobile and it does come up, but for most of us, it's just very minute little action. But when you point the foot, you allow for that basically structure to roll on the floor. So as I go forward, and you'll notice especially when we go into pigeon, I'll be able to safely go into this shape. If my foot was flexed, this is for the sensation junkies. They get lots of stretch. This has lots of application and it's very effective for loading the closed chain in order to apply more force to the joints that we're working on. But it comes at a cost. For someone in my situation, if I go forward, I'm done. Right there. I didn't have to go anywhere. I've already hit my limit. So I point, now I'm in a really safe position. So it's always important that everyone understands the details of what it is they're doing with their intention. If your intention is, I gotta go for broke on this stretch, because that's what I'm after, that's what you're doing. But be strong, be engaged. You engage the foot. This is classic yoga. Everyone wants to have this engaged because most of these people are very flexible if they're at these like high peaks of practice, and so they're looking for that next edge, that next level. For most of us, we need to start by dialing back and being humble and honest. Like our two main principles for yoga is truth and non-harming, right? So be honest with where you are and what you're doing, and that way you can have a better relationship to progressing in a safe, manageable manner. So something that's really important about this position, I'll let Alex get to the next bit.
Beautiful. So now that was our 3 minutes. So now we've worked out that hip. So what's really beautiful with the deer pose is now we have multiple options we can do. So one of the things we can do, again, not everyone has a bolster. So again, I'm just teaching you without the bolster and I'll teach you with the bolster. But one of the options we can do is we can go forward toward the knee. So you want to create basically a triangle. And you want to triangulate your energy so that you can roll through the hip. And so this is the first part. And this is called the long frame. So when our arms are straight, this is the long frame. And when we bend, this is the short frame. So again, short frame, long frame. And as we find that frame, we're really working through that hip. And again, just moving that hip and you'll feel the effect from the hip up through the chest. It's all connected. But right now we're just wiggling it out in deer pose. So this is the way, if someone doesn't want to take full pigeon, this is a safe way for them to come into it. So they would come down and they would relax and they would release and they would ground themselves into their hips. So nice and safe. So I'll let you feel that. We'll just take 30 seconds, or I'll take a minute if you want to talk anything else.
Great. So within that sort of adjustment period of
Just relax down, crew, just
moving
chill.
your body, what you're doing is that there's actually two differences between the arms long. Like this isn't just easier, it's actually accessing more movement in the back to take the edge away from the hips and everything that travels from, remember how we talked about posterior, the back part of the body, so all the tension through your lumbar spine, your lower back, then pulls into your glutes, pulls into the back of your hip, and down this lateral chain. So this is our IT band. We can talk at length about this thing. Most people know it if you've ever run before. It can be quite problematic. Anyway, so when you're up here, you get to actually sort of floss through that, get that nice and open. When you drop down, now you've taken all of that freedom of the upper axis of your back, and you've now just loaded it and anchored it. So it's nice to hang out, let your nervous system sort of acquiesce to the fact that you're about to load it even further, and then drop down in a manageable manner when you're ready.
Beautiful. And so that's our way in deer. I mean, this is a beautiful way to stay safe, and there's no fear of injuring the knee. And as Ken said, you point that toe, you're in a good, safe way. All right? So now we're going to come up. Now what I want you to see is how to roll up. So now from here, you're going to take yourself, you're going to lift your hip, extend the leg back, and now this is pigeon. So from deer it extends into pigeon. Now you can get into pigeon lots of different ways. There's all sorts of different ways. But ultimately the idea of a pigeon is that there is the thought of moving the foot out. I always say, pigeon starts at the hip. Okay, pigeon starts at the hip. So true level 1 pigeon is hip to heel. Why? Because ultimately it's like sitting cross-legged. This is what this is teaching you how to do. It's connecting your hip with your heel. And this is what, so if you get really good at pigeon, you'll be able to do this in no time. Okay? So as you relax down to here, your heel to your hip, you're massaging it out through your hip. Now as you extend the back leg, you're melting down. And again, we had that beautiful practice, so everyone should be feeling good. And then you want to look around the room. You want to feel it. You want to move. You want to move. Now in our yoga practice, we sink down. And again, discussing the frames. So the first frame is we widen down our arms, we relax our head, and we let it all melt down from here, breathing and being. In our second frame, we bring it down to our forearms and relax it down, and be and breathe. And then in our final, we go all the way down, pushing it into the back. And as you rest here, I'll let Ken continue to talk.
So the benefit of pigeon allows for the back leg to start creating a line of pull in the front of that thigh, and ultimately what's called your psoas, the deep hip flexor, that plays a big role in how we project power and control through our core. So the fact that it's being asked to be long really transforms the attention to detail in the shape of the pelvis, and the load on the front leg becomes that much more important. So it's really nice to be able to achieve something that is so lopsided in respect, so that your body can basically figure out how it relates to two extremes simultaneously. Your breath will unlock the interrelationship between these extremes. And when I talk about extremes, walking, like we talked about before, is literally just extension, flexion, extension, flexion, extension, flexion. This is two very intensive ones. If you were to go into king pigeon and take your back foot and lift it even higher, obviously you would take that to the nth degree. But right now, your nervous system is able to interpret what your breath and the basin of your entire abdomen feels like with these two extremes loaded into your pelvis. Really helpful for understanding where we hold stress, the junk drawer as Alex keeps calling it, and how we start unlocking that stress. It is nice to know that you can always have a friend on the other side be a nice long reference point to then explore with, as Alex said, the frames of dropping down. At least you've got this one known commodity in the back leg.
Beautiful. So as we continue to hold, you're going to experience what it is to be in pigeon pose for 7 minutes. We're going to come around the room and adjust you. You're going to relax down into it. Yes. We're going to open up that hip. You're always going to remember today is the big hip opener day. Today is the big hip opener day. So you just relax, release. And we're going to keep coming around. You just chill into it. You've already eaten up 2 minutes. We've got 5 more minutes to go. We're going to take a look at your posture and see what you're doing. And we're going to work with you and help you out along the way. I'll ground you a little bit more. So just relax into your pigeon as we can come around and help you out. And just take a look at you and just see what you're doing. That's it. That's it. Does that feel? Mm-hmm. get to all of you. That's why we're holding for a long time. Let it unwind. Down, down, down towards the ground. That's good. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Right? Good. Yeah, we're just gonna come around and help. You just relax into that hip. Let it go, let it flow. All right? That's Jefferson. Long reach up. Opening up that hip. Long reach up. Opening up the hip. That's it, yogis. Just keep melting into it. No, no, you're good. I got you.
We'll see what it's like when we're on the side.
Relaxing through. Down, down. Good. Just working with your pigeons, taking a look. Back okay? A little bit for you? How does that feel? Better? Good. Down. Have the weight drop. Good. Breath in. Breath out. Let that out. Relax, please. Just relax the arms in front, pushing back. So now your arms are pushing, see when I'm pushing my hands, pushing into that. So using your body to extend the stretch. How's that feel? Yeah. So feel it through, and then down. Very good. Finding that tension, that energy. Okay, final minute, yogis. You're doing great. Good. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Slowly releasing that now. Sit down onto that hip like you did deer pose. Massage it out, just like we did. Massage it out. There you go. No way to learn a posture any better than a 7-minute hold. There it is. That's the way. That's the way. Right? Let it out. That's it, everyone. You learn from experience. There's not a book in the world that will teach that. Right? So just let it out, relax it out. You got 3 minutes. Chill. Feel the energy. Super important to realize just how powerful pigeon is. Again, working with your pigeon, seeing it. And again, as you felt the adjustment, it was all about pushing it a little bit more back into your hips. Everyone pulling back into your hips, letting that energy go back into your hips. Yeah, we're going to do the other side now. You can chat a little bit if you want.
Yeah, cool.
I can give you the microphone.
No, I can get close to you. as we prep to go to the other side, this is something that we have to do. Sometimes, so we just have one little example of it. Sometimes we will actually block the nerve.
It's been in my pocket
The whole time.
I don't know how that happened.
Just talk really loudly.
I don't know how we're doing this.
Anyways, the idea is we want to make sure that we allow for, there's a nerve, it's called your sciatic nerve, you've probably heard of this thing, right? Comes and like laces out of our back, travels down our hip, and it actually passes directly underneath, for some of us, through the muscle that we were just stretching. It's called a piriformis. So depending on who you are, sometimes you just, roll the dice. You're one of those lucky people that goes right through, and no matter what, you stretch this thing, you engage this thing, we're just going to be blocking that nerve just a little bit.
Is that why it's tingling?
That's a lot of the reason why it's tingling. There's also circulation involved. We're also collapsing forward, so we're messing with our femoral arteries. There's lots of reasons for tingles. I want to just show you a modification just to keep yourself active before you, or if you know that this is something you're prone to, but something you can always engage once you're there. Because once the nerve goes, you kind of, that's your relationship until you kind of get up and move it around, which is fine. In class, don't hang out with the totally numb leg. It's nice to know that there's space and the opportunity. You have permission. Anyway, so the modification as we enter into the other side, and I'll do this straight from page, and you can apply this to all sorts of things, is if I'm really engaged here, and you'll notice I'm playing it super safe, this is just my position, my reality, and here I'm going to try and bind myself up to the camera.
Yep, come on then.
So that this can be seen. So what it is we're going to, right now, we're going to load down, I'm directly over top of my thigh. This is going to cause compression to my lower back on this side. So there's nothing wrong with gapping and opening that space by moving a little bit away from the loaded front leg. Okay? Keep this neutral, you have a much better chance of, one, not causing nerve compressions, and two, allowing for the benefit of this beautiful anchor, known as your pelvis in this position, loading weight, to be utilized. Because the next step is, if you want to go a little further, you just be a little bit more engaged with your arms. Pull your body towards your hands. And what this does is allow you to think about, I'm seated, weighted in my pelvis, going one way, and that's not going anywhere. So my upper body is now creating traction for my spine, my ribs, my ability to breathe and expand here is going to allow every inhale to cause that much more release. Anyone who has lower back pain, this is an incredible way of offsetting it, especially if the lower back pain is all on one side. Whatever side it is, you go with the pigeon on that side, and now we can take this for a ride. We can even go even further, right? If I take this hand, anytime, this is called opposition, we'll talk about this again. These are all about the micro movements within the unit to create space, so that you can sit longer in position. So if I want to pull my chest towards my left hand, I'm going to open a gap in my lower left back. If I want to intensify, it's my right hand. I can go, it's one hand sort of space away from my left, and now I can pull with my left, and I can push with my right. But what I just created was a ton of room, basically just gapped my lower back. And I can find whatever space I want. If I want to gap my ribs, I dial down, my fingers are going to be the direction opposite the area I'm opening. So I'm getting my ribs, I pull, and I push. And I'm using my own internal upper body opposition with the anchor of my pelvis to create lots of room. I'm going to take that, put it all the way down here, and I can get right underneath my armpits. So now I've opened up my entire left rib cage just from the access of this space. So this is an amazing way of just turning something. Sure, you're there for 7 minutes. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm so, this feels really awkward. You can bring your own energy into the space, open it up even for a moment, and then find a new aspect of stillness to explore what you've just created within your own body. Okay? If you want to get into a more active relationship with this, for some of us, you just rotate and then kind of release again. You can rotate the other way, and you open up the front of the ribs, the back of the ribs. Again, I can open up underneath my shoulder. Or I can just stick to the basic, try to be sure, pull, push, there's my lower back. So this is a phenomenal way of exercising your own utility within your body using one of my favorites, probably my favorite yoga position of all time. So like you just let this be an exploratory thing. Because again, you can waste 7 minutes, it's not waste, but you can spend a lot of time exploring what this is like. But in the restful, purposeful yoga, yin yoga session, it's about, okay, I've been here, things are feeling like I can go a little bit further, a little bit of activation. So when you release, a little bit of movement and release, and you can pave your way to challenging your nervous system, the connective tissue, your fascia. Okay, we'll talk about that much more depth later, and this will allow you to continue to practice bit by bit by bit.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kent. So let's go on to the left side now. So again, starting in our tabletop, take the left knee out to the left wrist, and then sit down onto the left side. Again, nice and open and comfortable. Let's start to relax, release. And again, let's start to integrate that knowledge into this experience, right? We're gonna be here for 3 minutes. We're gonna work it, and then we're gonna go into 7. There's nothing like understanding the hips by having an experience such as this. So I always say, the first time you hit pigeon for 7 minutes, like we did today, and you've had the practice, Eric already said, my hips are on fire. I'm like, this is why you will always remember today's class. Tapas, fire, right? Your hips are on fire. That's why you're here. You won't get that anywhere else. You got to be pushed a little bit into the depths of what this is. So that way you will know it for yourself and you will integrate it through the classes that we teach. And so we're going to go in. So just keep exploring. I'm going to hit the timer so I stay on track. And so just keep relaxing, releasing, opening up that hip. This is a wonderful thing to do as we keep being guided down, down, down towards the ground. It's massaging out that hip. And again, slowing it down, there's no rush, right? This is the experience. We're here to learn about our hips today. So if there's one thing you walk away with today, it's what's happening in my hip. What's going on with my hip? And how do we access that hip? Well, we got to spend time moving it. We got to spend time releasing it. We got to spend time relaxing it. So doing this in deer pose is a really beautiful way for priming the hip, for relaxing it, just going over and over again, back and forth, stretching it through, and allowing the different mobilities that Ken spoke about, all the different ranges. Again, it's all accessible to you here, right? You have full freedom of movement. Don't get caught ever in robotic movements, and don't ever think that there's something you can't do. If you have a question, ask. At the end of the day, like we keep referring to it, this is an exploration, right? This is an adventure. This is a journey. Because you're not going to remember what you may have heard today. What you're going to remember is what you learned today. And what you learned today is what you know. What you know is that your hip is this way, and this is the experience you had today. And this experience will last with you for a long time. You're like, remember that hip class? You'll be like, yep. So you'll always remember it. So it's always a beautiful thing. I love going through it with the yogis because again, when it was my first time, I was like, wow, I didn't even know you were allowed to do it for 7 minutes. I didn't know it was okay to do that, right? So again, giving yourself that permission. We're going to continue to work. We got 1 more minute to go as we just keep moving that hip forward and back, forward and back. Ken, you want to say anything else for 1 last minute?
So the motion is so important because there's more to the pelvis than just the hips. And it's something that we're going to get into, I love next session. At the very beginning, I'd love to steal everybody for around like 3 to 4 minutes as a primer to understand what your sacrum does and what this sequence, if you will, is doing is it's allowing him to not just expand upon the movement of what his hip is doing, internal rotation, external rotation. He's also using the leverage of his upper back and the movement through the base of his spine to challenge his sacrum. The very root, the last 5 vertebrae of your spine is fused together. It just sits inside your pelvis. If you think about it, you've got this 2 wings and this little body of a butterfly. And this thing needs to swing every single time you take a step. And if it doesn't, you do all the work with your hip, and unfortunately you burn out area.
All right, as you keep talking, we're going to go into our pigeons so he can keep talking to us as we go into pigeon. Remember, to be a good yin teacher is to be a good storyteller, okay? So you're learning while doing. So bring your arms up, hip lifts off the ground, stretch that back leg. We're going in for 7 minutes now as we drop in. And we continue to inundate you with all the information, the knowledge of this experience, of this beautiful posture, as we're nice and grounded so we can grow from the base of the spine, allowing everything to expand, relax, and release. Down, down, down towards the ground. Beautiful, Kent. You can take it from there. If there's anything else you want to share, we got 7 minutes to just freestyle and flow with them.
So the issue with the movement was all about trying to ask permission for your body to rest. And that's why you use it, even mentally, to just create a little bit more shape, a little bit more space. And that can just be the gentle rocking that Alex is demonstrating. Or some of you have already started exploring, trying to like take your, in this case, we're on our left arm for a ride off to the right in the big bow arm, using the lateral flexion and the abduction of our arm, and the lateral flexion is the thoracic spine to create leverage away from this anchor that's being generated by your pigeon pose.
All right, yogis, so as you relax, release, we got 6 more minutes to go. We're going to come around and help you, because again, there's no better knowledge than your own physical knowledge. So again, coming around once again to just help guide you into the posture a little bit deeper. You just keep breathing and being, integrating all this knowledge into your own experience. There you go. There you go, Ashley. Nice. How's that feel? Good? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Can you handle more? Yeah, you can, can't you? Tell me when it's too much.
No, good.
Right? That's the feeling right there. Right? Down, down, down. Working that hip. That's what you want to stay focused on. So these arms actively pushing back into this zone. So you can create this feeling. You can create that feeling. Yeah. So again, now that I've given you the sensation, you get that sensation going. Right? That's it. Pushing it down, 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 down. Beautiful. Good. Breathing and being, yogis. You're doing great. Staying with it. You'll never forget today, literally. Mind and body through breath. Stretching it through. Down, down, down towards the ground. How's that feel, Tamila? Good? Okay. There we go. There we go. There it is. There it is. Right? Here? There's where I feel it. There you go. That's that spot for, yeah. See? So you got to focus on finding it for yourself. Good. That's it. Spending your time. Deep breath in. Good. Deep breath out. We're at 3:30. You're doing great. Okay, Rebecca, how's yours doing? So yours is now, you put your leg up on the bolster. How's that feel? Not wrong, just how's it feel? You like it like that?
There's a little bit of pressure.
So that's why I would suggest that the foot stays in front of the bolster, right? Right, yeah. So it's going to take off that tension for you. And then as we go back into your hips now, I would bring this a little bit more forward for you. And then I would sink it back. How's that feel? Better, right? Better or no? Good. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to work on using your arms to push back into here. There, you see, that's where your tension resides. So your whole arms are trying to do what I'm trying to give you on from the top part. That's it. And so as you relax back, you're pushing that feeling into the hip, imagining this is coming up into you. That's it. Beautiful. Feeling that active tracking that we were discussing. Beautiful, yogis. You got 2.5 minutes left. Just be and breathe. I got you. I'm coming around. All right, Brother Adam. How are we feeling, brother? Oh, yeah. Good. Some massage and let that hip out. There it is. There it is. Oh, how's that feel? Yep. Good. So you want to push back into it. See? There it is. There you go. There you go. All right? Feel. Down, 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 down. Down, down. There it is. Beautiful, brother. Keep working. All right, Master Eric, let's take a look at you. That's it. Breathing and being. All right, big guy. So you're more on the knee side. This is fine. So with yours, it's nice and tight. Good, good. Okay, we're going to sink yours down into here. Yeah, you see that? Yeah, so you want to push back into it. Push back into it. Right into this side. Right into here. Right into here. So that's your focus. So your arms are bringing you out, not without releasing it, but down into here. Do you see? Feel the difference now? Yeah. Okay? There you go. Relax. Relax. That's it. Drop it down. That bolster. There you go. There you go. Let's get it down. Let's get it down. Down, down, down into the ground. There you go, brother. You feel it? Here? Yep. Keep sinking it. That's what you're working on. So bring your hands more this way so you can ground yourself more that way. You see? See the difference now? Yeah, work on that. That's it. Beautiful. Good, yogis. We're almost there. 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. You got this. Did we Brahmari on the last one? Yes or no? Do you remember? I think we did. Brahmari to clear. Deep breath in. Inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. Let's go. That's it. Relax, release. Let's go. Opa. Yeah. There we go. 3 minutes, yogis. We'll never forget today. Paula, I want a picture of this. Paula, can I please have a picture of this? These are my boys right here. This is my favorite moment. The two boys. Men, come to yin yoga. This is the kind of fun we will have. We turn boys to men and men to boys. It's perfect. So good, yogis. So 3 minutes, relax it out. So again, you've learned lots about the hip today. Again, it's a beautiful thing to get into the hip. It's a wonderful thing, but the best way is through the experience. So when we learn the pigeon pose, yes, Ashley? Yeah, so again, I always say when it comes down to it, you always want to start the day being present. So doing your, getting your breathing, getting your thing, that's how we're going to end today. Again, back to being present, because it's all about being present. But if you want to start today opening up your hip because you got sore hips or you've been on a plane, usually I start to go at my hips when I've been on a bus, a plane, been sitting around a lot, studying a lot. Once I start putting weight into the lower back, this is where I really turn to pigeon. So again, one of the best things you can do is just rest into it, right? Rest into it. So we did it freely today. You can do it with a bolster. You've experienced many different ways. We did it lying down on the ground. So again, there's lots of ways to do pigeon pose, right? So again, it's just an experience with our hips and how to open up those hips, how to relax them, okay? Does anyone else have any more questions about the pigeon? Okay, great experience. All right, amazing. Keep moving and grooving. And now we're gonna focus on breathing and we're gonna calm down your nervous systems. Don't worry, I'm not gonna overwhelm you today. That's more than enough today. This is the light flashbulb memory you'll remember. Remember when Alex put us in that pigeon for 7 minutes? Yeah. It's the best way to learn it, right? Through the inside out. Okay, so beautiful. All right, so when you're ready, yogis. Yeah, absolutely. Raise that. How long? You can spend forever in pigeon. So the answer to Reza's question is, and this is the secret to all yoga, when you've mastered a pose, so I'll give you my answer and I'll give you my teacher's answer, okay? My teacher's answer is the one I just gave you, like forever. You can just stay in the pose forever. Nothing can shake you. You're unshakable. You're in your seat. The idea here is, what I would say is when you've mastered yin yoga postures, is when you can hold And I'm gonna elevate it up to 20 minutes, but I would say when you can hold a pose for 20 minutes, but we're gonna actually, for this program, I would say, let's put it to 7 minutes. When you can hold the pose for 7 minutes without any pain, you know, you've mastered level 1 gold star, you know? But technically, it's 3 minutes, it's 5 minutes, it's 7 minutes, it's 10 minutes, it's 15 minutes, well, 12 minutes, it's 15 minutes, it's 18 minutes, it's 20 minutes, and you just keep going up, escalating the time. Some people work in 5s, I work in 3s, so I escalate by 3, so I go 3, and then I go to 5, but when I go to 5, I usually put in some kind of warm-up in for like a minute, and then I go to 7, a 7-minute home, and then I'll give a 3-minute release, you know? So this idea of being in the posture longer and longer and longer throughout, but basically how long can you hold it until you're pain-free? Right now, your first challenge is to get to 7 minutes in pigeon pain-free. And I can sit here today as your teacher saying I can do 7 minutes of pigeon, no problem. It wouldn't be, it's not a challenge for me. But if you said 14 minutes, that might be a challenge for me. Right? If you said 20 minutes, that might even be more of a challenge, right? So it's all about adding more duration into it because the muscle is just maybe not used to being held in that position for a long time. Because remember, the whole point of all these positions is not to hold pigeon for an hour. That's not the point of yoga. The point of yoga is to do your pigeon pose so that your hip is open, so that when you decide to sit down, whether you're in a chair or on the floor, that your hips aren't screaming at you. They're not distracting you, right? And so that angle of the leg that we do in pigeon is now healing this section of the sitting pose. So the whole point of yoga is always to go back to meditation, right? We always go back to meditation. And the more we go back to meditation, the more we understand that the experience of yoga is meditation. Postures are great. They're fun, right? They're a great aspect of something, and it was the most attractive part of what yoga was for me, because without the postures, there was no physical body. There was very few spiritual practices on this planet that incorporate the physical body like yoga does. Yoga is something that incorporates the physical body, and that's why I was so attracted to it, you know? And so what I love about yoga is that it allows one to understand the body as part of the spiritual path. We have to honor our body as part of our spiritual path. So you will master the pose as you get pain-free in the pose. So when you go 3 minutes, you might do pigeon 3 minutes, and you're all A-okay. And then you might do pigeon 5 minutes, you might A-okay. But then once you add that extra 2 minutes, you're like, whoa, everything starts shifting in. That's because you're melting deeper and deeper. There's more work to be done. You're going to the deeper levels of the fascia. So it's layer by layer. It's just like deep diving, right? You can't just go to 7-minute pigeon. I would never have done that to you today if we didn't do the practice we did. But I did that to all of you today because we had the practice. If we didn't do the practice today, that would not have been safe for any of you, nor would I have done it, right? But it was a beautiful experience for all of you because you got to experience like, oh, but do you realize, like, pat on the back, that you guys just did a 7-minute pigeon? I've never even taught that in a class. And I just put it out to you like this and you all did it. That's amazing. Right? That's amazing. And you all did it.
I've never even done a pigeon in a class.
My man!
I've always done deer instead of...
My man. Eric, you killed it then today. How did it feel for you? Incredible, right? Yeah, and again, you're gaining this kind of, like I always say, this physical experience with your spiritual practice, you know, and what we call the spirit, remember the breath, right? The densest form of the spirit. So we are here to connect with ourselves and our spirits. So we got half an hour left. What I'm going to do for you is now transition us into chill time, and we're going to learn some pranayama. So you can do it lying down flat on the ground, or you can do it on the bolster. I like to lie down on the bolster when I breathe. So again, just bringing the bolster to the tailbone, lying back, relaxing. I find it helps me open up my chest. You can also do it from the ground. So it's totally up to you what you choose to do, how you want to relax into this posture. And we're just going to get into a little bit of the breathing. So taking a little break if you need it, feel free. We're going to relax and release. I'm going to do the lights because they won't be able to see you. Doo-ba-doo. Great job. I know what we're going to do now. We're going to get 2 wireless mics. You're going to have one, I'm going to have one, we're just going to teach.
Okay.
I figured it out now.
Okay.
Like, that's how we're going to do this. Today was so beautiful. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, we just do it like this on top of each other. Rather than do it like this and this, it's just like...
being like, interrupt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's good. It's beautiful because it's this weaving, and that's what's never been done.
It's perfect.
Yeah, because you've done yoga trainings, you know. Yeah. You guys are lucky. The forefront of the new way. Yeah. No, I have them. I just never thought of doing it wirelessly. Yeah, it's a whole other experience. I didn't think that we would just be tuned in, tuned on together the whole time.
We just have to be disciplined.
Yeah, exactly. But now we are. Now we know how to do this. Yeah. All right, crew. So just lying back, relaxing, getting into a good way. You've just gone to the bathroom. Okay, back to our magenta. No, they have to see. Oh, I see what you're saying. Just through the galaxy? Okay. Okay, Coney. Coney's right. Coney's always right. All right, so let's just come into the room, get ourselves ready for some pranayama, just to settle our bodies, our nervous systems. Again, we learned a lot about the hips today as we ground down towards the ground. Right? Just relaxing and releasing. Now once we get everyone back, there we go. Okay. All right, yogis, and as we settle in, find my bells. Where are my bells? There we go. Back to the beginning. And just resting here, feeling here, and getting connected. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. And exhale long and strong through the mouth.
Anyone who doesn't want an adjustment in Shavasana, just raise your hand now and I'll offer that. If you don't want an Shavasana adjustment, just raise your hand.
All right, yogis. As we relax into it, we're going to create our little magical bubble once again. All right, just breathing and being. In through nose. And out long and strong through mouth. Placing that bolster right behind us, so it aligns with our spine. And then splashing down, relaxing, opening up arms like wings, fingers like feathers. Stretch open your feet. And we're going to take a deep breath in through nose. And exhale long and strong through mouth. And as we breathe like this, long and strong, in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Eyes open or eyes closed, just relaxing our bodies. Relaxing our minds. Just getting nice and settled here in the room as we come down, down, down towards the ground. Letting it all go. Letting it all flow. So today, in your yoga training, you're going to learn about these two energies. The first energy is every time we inhale. This energy is prana. As we inhale, prana enters our body. And with each breath in through the nose, prana enters your body. And prana is the life force that nourishes the yogi. It's what the cell metabolizes. Without oxygen, as I've said many times before, we don't have long to live. We can go 30 days without eating. We can go 7 days without drinking. But we can't go 5 minutes without breathing. So coming back to the breath, coming back to the practice of the breath is the most important thing we can do in our practice. So as we breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, I want to explain a little bit why we do this. When you exhale through the mouth long and strong, this is a very releasing breath. And as we extend the exhale 2, 3, 4 times as long, this is what is calming our parasympathetic nervous system. It's actually stimulating us. It's allowing us to rest and digest a little bit deeper, a little bit longer, and a little bit stronger. So the deeper you breathe in through the nose and exhale long and strong through the mouth, the more you're stimulating your autonomic nervous system, which has 2 parts. And the part I've been describing is your parasympathetic system, that which helps you rest and digest. The other is fight or flight. That's the yang to our yin. So within ourselves, within our nervous systems, there is a nervous system that is yin, which is this nervous system we're stimulating by increasing the length of the exhale. Nice and long and nice and strong. Allowing yourself just to be and just to breathe and get yourself nice and comfortable here. Good, so now that we've released, now I want you to regulate. So on the next exhale, I want you to exhale through your nasal passage. So we inhale through the nose, and we exhale through the nose. And I want you to just keep doing that. And as you keep doing that, make sure as you exhale through the nose, like you did with your mouth, that you're trying to exhale longer through the nose. And the more time you spend focusing on your exhale is the more time you start cultivating this yin energy. This slow, this deep, this soft, this relaxing feeling that you are experiencing right now. And you can do it anytime. When you witness someone who's angered or someone who's sad, the breath is always short and quick. When someone is angry, it is short and quick. It's like bubbling water. Whenever someone is in trauma, Whenever someone is in pain, the first thing, whether you're a paramedic or you're a pedestrian, the common sense is to tell them to deep breathe. Deep breathing is the medicine to help regulate your nervous system. So as you inhale through nose and exhale through nose, I want you to experience the regulatory breath of inhaling and exhaling and being in control. Whenever you exhale through your nose, it's when you want to focus on control, on regulation. And I want you to feel that sensation as it goes in and out of the nose. And because we are here in yin, we're extending the exhale longer because we want to stimulate the yin energy. We want to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. We want to relax. We want to let go. Bringing calmness and gentleness wherever we go. And so as you breathe and be in through nose and out through nose, each inhale, as we said earlier, is inspiration. What we call in Sanskrit prana. The exhale is apana, and this is the downward energy. And as you guide the apana, as you guide the downward energy, you can feel your body releasing. So now I want you to cycle the breath. When you exhale, I want you to exhale out through mouth. And then inhale nose. And exhale nose. And then you inhale nose. And you exhale mouth. I want you to regulate that breath through your system, learning through your own experience what each one brings to you. Exhaling through nose, regulating. Exhaling through mouth, releasing. And seeing if that's true for you. Again, you are here to learn from the experience directly. You are here to learn from yourself. For everything that's grounded grows. And today we are growing. We are growing from the knowledge and experience that we are cultivating. Simple things that you will carry with you for the rest of your life. When you want to regulate yourself, when you want to control, you breathe in through nose and out through nose. You focus, you feel. When you want to relax, when you want to release, you exhale through the mouth. And so now I want you to choose which one you want to do. You choose the exhale, and you choose the exhale according to each and every moment. The reason why we always breathe in through the nose is because this is how we can receive maximum airflow. Our bodies are designed to breathe through the nose, not the mouth. Although there are breathing techniques that involve the mouth, there are no such without a specific intention behind it. If you're looking for optimization, relaxation, performance, always breathe through the nose. But the exhale, as you're learning, can be guided in either way. One for focus, one for regulation, and one for relaxation and release. And you're getting the time to explore and experience it for yourselves. The prana comes in on the inhale, and the apana goes down on the exhale. So when you're ready, yogis, I want you all to take a deep breath in, and I want you to hold that breath a little bit longer at the top as you continue your breathing practice. Not holding for too long, but just a little bit longer. And with intention, exhale long and strong. Holding at the top of the breath and holding a little at the bottom of the breath is how you start to cultivate awareness. How you start to cultivate control. As you be and breathe. As you be and breathe. And these simple practices will stay with you because the memory of this moment will be with you. You're having a direct experience with the power of something that is very valuable, which is peace. And so with this awareness, I want you to focus on the feeling of if you were stressed, if you were overrun, overwhelmed, undone. I want you to cultivate this energy right now for yourself as something in the background. The next time you feel anger, the next time you feel sad, the next time you feel hurt. For that is inevitable. But can we underpin our psychology? Can we breathe in and breathe out and save this story that we're experiencing today for another moment when we become present? When we wonder, what should I do? And you will hear your inner voice. Just be. Just breathe. The answers will come. The answers will come. As you rest back into your intention, in towards yourself. As you breathe in through the nose, the chest expands, air goes into the lungs, the abdomen expands. And as you exhale, the abdomen collapses, the chest collapses. Feeling the healing energy, nose to toes, and crown to tailbone. This is what it is to cultivate yin, to be grounded. Spending time on a skill, spending time on an ability. You are all able to be yinful. And if ever called to teach it, the energy is here with you through the experiences that you have had directly with yourself and with each other. For a true teacher teaches what's within to who's in front. And so all of us are experiencing the same beautiful energy through our awareness. Remember, the practice is here to help you remember. When in doubt, to move through all darkness, all doubt, without fear. All you have to do is be and breathe. This is yoga. This is how you cultivate a state of consciousness that absorbs the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious through awareness. For your awareness is everything. And this is the ability, this is the skill that we are cultivating today. This is what is growing from what we grounded. Let's place our hands on our heart center and let's focus on the original theme of today's class with your intention, which is to break through. To break through. Not down and not up. We all know what a breakup is. We all know what a breakdown is. It's a relationship that's gone sideways. That's failed. That's died on the vine. But a breakthrough is something else entirely. It's an understanding. It's a relationship that honors the bond without the attachment. So honoring this moment, this energy all together, we're going to take a deep breath in and exhale, sigh it out. Deep breath in Exhale, sigh it out. And one last time, deep breath in. Hold the breath, feel the breath with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, all your soul. Exhale, relax, let go. Thank you, yogis, for coming out today. It was an absolute privilege and honor to guide your practice. I hope you had a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful second day. I wish you all nothing but light and love. Take all the time you need. Namaste. All right, yogis. That one sunk deep. As I said, I'll always honor the time. It is 8 o'clock. There is no rush on out of here. Take all the time you need. But I want to make sure to always honor our commitment to time as we explore the timeless states. If you need more time in the room, feel free to take it. It's of no bother to me or ALTEA. We are the last class here. Enjoy your time and cultivate this inner light, this inner love, this inner learning, and journal. Continue on to chapter 2 for your homework. Paolo and I will continue to post photos and videos if you want to refer back to the lesson. Again, day 1 was awesome. Day 2 was even better. It's just going to keep growing and flowing. So lots of love, lots of hugs, everyone. If you have any questions for me, you can always reach out. And thank you, everyone, for being here, sharing your beautiful energy today. Namaste.